So this is the 2024 Sizzix Vault 1 release, and I say Vault 1 because this is the first release in the Vault collection this year. You can see that there are 8 SKUs. I'm going to take you through and talk quickly just about the SKUs and then go into more detail about the size and the scale differences. So as I mentioned, this is really just an entire collaboration working with all of the art that I've designed for Sizzix for the past 15 years, reimagined. So again, a shout out to EL, a shout out to Lisa, and of course a shout out to Jen for helping to put all of this together. All right, so we'll just take one at a time and we'll bring it in. This first one, I do love this. This one is Vault Lovebirds, and it really brings back some of the silhouette birds. It brings back the feather, a cool branch, and the hearts from Heartfelt. And what I really like about each of these designs, as I mentioned, is that they are reimagined from size and scale. So as I bring in each one, I'm going to bring in really what it's kind of made from, if you will, designed from. So the whole purpose of Vault, as I mentioned, was not only reimagining, but bringing things into budget. And it's pretty crazy to see how the budgets impact. So for example, this particular die set includes elements from 4 different dies. 4 different die sets that would really total about $85 if you had to buy all of the dies. But we're kind of mixing and matching and picking and choosing. So you would see from this die, this is my personal one, there's the branch from this old school one, which was the feather and the raven. Then we had feathery. This is a newer one, but we rescaled this one. Silhouette birds. I saw so many of these used in like fodder school and mixed media that's why I wanted to do some larger birds. And of course, Heartfelt, one of my favorites. This is a Biggs die. I just love these hearts. So we wanted to bring out some hearts, obviously in the thin dies, okay? So I went through and just tried to kind of do a little comparison so you can see, because, you know, saying bigger, smaller, it's like, well, how much? And I don't really get into specifics. I do the measurements more for the makers when we first start so they can start planning. But really, this is the prep that we did. We went and cut out everything. We cut out the thing from the Vault and the original it was inspired from, and I've marked the Vault. So you can see in the Vault, the bird is bigger, significantly bigger. So as I mentioned for mixed media, if you do great backgrounds, gel prints, anything, now you have a much larger, cool cutout bird to make with. There's the next bird. Again, you can see significantly bigger, and the next bird significantly bigger. So the birds in the Vault are all larger scale. They're larger scale for a couple of reasons, not just for doing backgrounds and things, but obviously if you're doing other projects, if you're doing home decor or even cards, it takes up more real estate. But also these hearts were really important. As I mentioned, the hearts that they were inspired from were from the Biggs die. This is the heart that's on the Heartfelt Biggs die. And this is the heart that I wanted to make 3 different sizes of as thin dies. And the reason I wanted this heart, one, it's just great for Valentine's, for conversation hearts, all of that. But also, this is really great because these are thin dies and you can drop these into these larger birds and you can cut out a heart out of the middle. So you can do a heart in here and have a little shaker window if you want, or you can add a little element to it. So I think having some smaller hearts that you can cut out of these larger birds is really important. Same thing for the feather. I saw so many beautiful things done with feathery, not just for fall, but also for spring. So this Vault one has a much larger feather. And of course the branch. If we were going to do bigger birds, well, we needed a bigger branch for them to perch on, and you'll see how the makers use this. So there again, you can see that this branch that I took from that raven die made it significantly bigger. So in this case, all of those elements are bigger except for the hearts, which we made smaller, okay? So hopefully that little comparison kind of helps you understand, because again, many of you just maybe shop online or you just see a picture and you're like, that looks like what I already have. And you would be right from an art style, but from a creative use, no way. It's completely different. All right. So that one is Lovebirds, and I'll try to, I think I'll keep some stuff around. We'll see. I don't really know how this is going to go as far as how much space I have, but you'll understand. This next one, really, really fun. This is Vault Hippity Hop. I love these bunnies. These are from an old school vintage art file that I found. But really the inspiration behind this one was the alphabet. I have to say that this particular die set includes dies from 4 different die sets. So it's got Bunny Hop, then it has this bow, which is from a Halloween SKU called Hip Haunts. Then we have this little one, this from a decorative strip. If you remember those really long decorative strip dies, there's a little butterfly from Butterfly Frenzy. But then we have this alphabet. And yes, this is the alphabet from this most recent Christmas Santa greetings. I saw so many people utilize this alphabet, loved it, used it for different things. I even had comments from makers going, this is my favorite font that you've done because it's so easy to work with and it goes with so many different styles. So I'm like, you know what? I need to bring that back in a way. Now here's what's interesting, right? So the dies that it comes from, so this is of course the new one. They're the rabbits. I only chose 2 of them. There's substantially bigger. There's our bow. You're going to see the glasses come in from this SKU, also from Bunny Games. And then there's this guy. There is that alphabet. Now, interestingly enough, for this particular SKU, this one die, this was $40. This is $39.99. So it's pretty crazy that we're able to include the whole alphabet and rabbits and all of that for $20.99. You might be like, well, why is that? Well, he's got a lot more pieces, so obviously he took more real estate on the die. He's much bigger. But again, it's all about mixing and matching shapes on a template. So that's why I like having an alphabet and all these for $20.99. Crazy value, even if you don't like rabbits. Forget the bunnies. A $20 alphabet is still a great deal, right? So here's the size comparisons when it comes to this particular vault SKU for Hippity Hop. I do love it. So the bunnies, we'll talk about the bunnies first. So the bunnies, you can see, are distinctly bigger. I wanted to do that for a couple of reasons. One is if you have the original one and you wanted to put several in a make, it's great for perspective because you have a smaller one that could be off in the distance where the bigger one is hopping closer. And that's how we did on both of these. We just made it bigger that you could layer them, or you can create that forced perspective. Or if you were doing something a little bit bigger, maybe an etc. tag or a vignette, that you were able to pair them. And that's why I needed to put 2, because if you were going to use these together, they would be to scale. And if you use the new vault together, they would be to scale. But you can certainly still mix and match. Okay. Then on this one, the butterfly from the vault, this is its own unique size, different from the decorative strip. The bow tie, slightly different, but really not much that you'd probably be able to tell, because I thought the scale is just a little bit bigger, but for the most part, it's very similar. But here's where we came in with the font. Because this font for Santa Greetings was so well loved, I wanted to do something a little bit smaller, even though it is an uppercase font, because then if you had both Santa Greetings and the new Hippity Hop, you can utilize these letters and kind of use the bigger one as your quote uppercase, and then still use the smaller uppercase to finish your word. And I think that's going to be great for all types of different greetings or sentiments. If you're doing happy birthday, right, the H and the B could be big, and then the rest could be in this new size. So it is a smaller size, but you still get all the same characters that you did for Santa Greetings, the full alphabet and the numbers to mix and match. So you can see that it's just smaller, but it's not so small that you can't use it with the other one. That's the great thing about kind of remixing. Same thing with this little string or this little banner. And this is where I was saying that Jen cheats. Look at how cool this is. So when we first did this string, when Lisa and I did the string for Santa Greetings, we're like, oh, that's going to be a really thin line. But when we wanted to reduce it, instead of just shortening it, Jen's like, I think I can cheat and make it just a little skinnier than the other one. You can see it's not much, but it is enough to really make it more proportionate. So yes, they can hop and kind of hold this banner, or, you know, it could, I mean, I've seen people use this string for so many different things. People hung ornaments from it and all types of things. So you might even want to use this little string and hang little flowers and make a little flower garland. But it's fun now that you have 2 different thicknesses and also 2 different lengths, and the large one has a bigger bow to it, but pretty cool. So seeing the details, I think, is what was so important about this live, is that you can really understand the distinct differences and then make your choice. Like, okay, is that worth the $20, $20.99, or no, I won't get a lot of use out of it. Maybe you will, maybe you won't. Totally up to you. All right. Fun. It's fun to have the stuff. That, to me, it is. It's all fun. All right. Next one is a favorite. Now for the Vault Bunny and Chick, here's the thing. Bunny Games, which is where the bunny originally came from, that would be, let me pull out the right dies. I've got buckets everywhere, but I'm pretty organized overall. It's like, how do I really explain the story? So this was inspired by Bunny Games, which was this die that had the pennant, the 2 rabbits, the eggs. This one is actually still a current SKU for Sizzix. It's what they call an essentials, which is something that they will create this new concept from. So an essential is something that is just going to be around. So you can still get bunny games. It's available. It's not retired. However, this one, Paper Cut Chicks, that it was designed to go with, is retired. So it's gone. And then, of course, we have the glasses from Holtz, the same place we got the bow from. Now, what's great about this is that I didn't think we were going to be able to change enough of this to do it. This is one of those SKUs that it wasn't all about retired. It was just that bunny games is such a popular SKU. And people are like, these are so great, but they're so tiny and fussy. I wish it was bigger. And I'm like, yeah, I don't think we can do that. But of course, Jen is like, sure we can. Watch and see. Okay. So the Vault Bunny and Chick has the bunny from Bunny Games, the chick from Paper Cut Chicks, the eggs, the pennant, the little daisy flower, and a fun bow tie. And it could be a bow tie or a bow, maybe up in the ears. Very, very cute. And here is the size comparison for everything. So here you can see that the bunny in the new Vault is significantly larger than the original. And that was important because I wanted to make sure that if you were going to use him as a focal point, which many of you wanted to do, they wanted to use that maybe on a scrapbook page, or maybe you wanted to use it on a spring journal or any type of home deck. He was cute, but he is very small and very fussy. So all of the same layered elements that you would have from this one are on the Vault. I'm just showing you the overall size, and that's why I just did the base color. But all the layering pieces are exactly the same, just in a bigger scale. Same thing for the chick and the egg. We needed to increase the size of the chick and increase the size of the egg so it would be in proportion with that bunny. So you can use them as little friends, little BFFs. Very, very cute. Same thing on the pennants. We reduced the size of that, okay? Because I thought it was going to be really important that we added some elements. Oh, I'm sorry, we increased the size of that one. Let me just make sure. Yes. I was going to say that wouldn't have made sense. So we increased the size of that one as well, just to create that larger pennant scale for the larger rabbit. There is the larger of the flowers, there's the bow, and then of course the glasses are bigger than the Holtz, because if you remember from the Sizzix remix, I actually put glasses on the bunny. If you guys remember that remix video and people were like, oh my gosh, the glasses are great. I'm like, oh yeah, it's on a die that was like, this one is so old, so long ago. I'm like, ugh. So when I said to Jen, I'm like, can we do the glasses, but can we actually make it bigger? So what's nice is you're getting a bigger pair of glasses that you can use not only in the bunny, but go back to your other color eyes. You might find some of your other color eyes that you can put glasses on because now you have a bigger set. Isn't that fun? That's the whole cool thing. So again, all of these elements are in the new Vault SKU. This is still available. This is retired, but you might still find it out there. But just know, I mean, that's why I'm telling you it's retired, because if a year from now you're watching this and you're like, oh, where is this? It's probably long gone. This one has been retired for quite a while. But it's fun. It's fun to kind of reimagine and remix. And even if you have something current, it's great to have such a distinctly different size that you can, in my opinion, do totally different things with it. So I do love it. It's really been fun to create this Vault collection, because we go back to that art. Yeah, hard to believe that it's a 15-year catalog, and it was really hard to make the choices, believe me. But I will tell you this, the choices for the year, done. I've already done the entire Vault collection, Vault 1, 2, Halloween, and Christmas. They're all done, and they're actually all here already in the studio, because when we set out to do it, I said to Jen, I'm like, we just need to go through all the catalog and pick the favorites right from go. So, because we already got emails when we announced this, like, oh, you should bring this and this and this. And some of you, your wish is going to come true because you actually pick ones that are coming back, but they're already decided and done. So this next one, this is Vault Scribbly Butterfly. Now, I really like this one. This one, again, has been retired. The Scribbly Butterflies were a great detailed thinlet. This was the first time that really precision base plate was probably a must because of all of those little tiny details, and these were very small butterflies. What I wanted to do is really kind of look at how people were using butterflies and also how they would use it on a card. So here's how we reimagined this one for the Vault SKU, okay? You can see the size comparison. The Vault ones are bigger. I only chose 2 of the 4 designs to bring back for the Vault. These are the 2. And you can see that they are significantly bigger, much larger because, again, I think people that are doing journals, or they want to use it on the side of a card, or you'll see the pillow box coming up, a bigger size really allowed for a bigger surface. But more than that, I saw a lot of makers using it for card fronts. And I thought it would be really great if we were able to add a shadow, because there's many people that want to use alcohol inks, or maybe you're going to do a cool distressed background with crayons or inks or pencils. What's great about this particular vault is this not only gives you the butterfly, but it also gives you a shadow die, a solid die. The original did not come with any solid dies. It's just the detailed pieces. So not only do we change the size, but we gave you that outside shadow die. So now you'll be able to cut a solid element. So maybe you do your inky background, use your silhouette die to cut out that background, and then cut out your detail maybe in black or something like that and layer over the top so all of your color will come through the openings. Or maybe you want to do a shakety shake card. Well, use your solid one to cut out the window and use that layered one to go in the acetate. And you might go, well, hello, Captain Obvious. If I use this, I'll create a window. Yes, but by using the shadow, your window is slightly bigger, your acetate's a little bigger, and then you have that cool clear border even for a shaker card as well. So a lot of great uses by just not only increasing the scale, but giving you those two outline dies. Because again, I pay attention to how you make, how you create. And so many people were like, I really want to color this in, but I'm not going to go in and color in all those elements. So if you were just coloring on paper, you would have to go in and hand cut that butterfly so you had a solid piece to layer it. Well, not with the vault. Now you have that solid die as well as the outline for both of those butterflies. See, that's the whole benefit of the Live, because there's no way to really explain that on the packaging other than you'd have to kind of see that solid paper to get that you have those dies. And you can always reference that die art in the top to see what's what. Really important. Okay, so that is Vault Scribbly Butterfly. I do love it. Ooh, it's good. It's a good one. All right, let's move this over. God, I think I'm doing pretty good. We're doing all right, Mario? I'm trying to hustle through these just to talk about them and get on to the makes, because I know people want to see the creative make. But understanding to me is just as important. All right, this one. This is where technology becomes our friend. I've done many flower SKUs with Sizzix through the years. EL and I started doing Wildflower thinlits, which were all these very intricate, detailed flowers. I think we even did 3 different sets, Wildflowers 1, 2, and 3. Then when I found some new art for flowers, in fact, I have them here. Look at these in the brown package. These are the ones that EL and I did many years ago. These were Wildflowers 1 and 2, and I love these dies for so many different backgrounds. But I wanted to do more detailed pieces, if you will, stuff that was, well, a little bit more complex, had some intricate detail cuts, or had some cutout pieces, or had a lot of elements, or something really thin, or all these little weed pieces. So when I initially wanted to do these, we had to increase the size of this because of our spec. We had to increase the size of these flowers in order to do them. And these are called Wildflower stems. Both of these SKUs are currently available. They're part of the essentials as well, so you could get these. So these are the big ones. So what I said to Jen is, wouldn't it be cool if we could take the art from these bigger SKUs and reduce them to the scale of these smaller SKUs? We'd have to cheat some spec, we'd have to see. And she's like, well, let's see, because we have a lot of different dye technology available that we can create some different cuts. So the Vault Wildflowers are all using the larger stems, but reduced in size. So I'll show you the size comparison. So they're all smaller than the stems, which means that they fit better on cards. They'll fit better on pillow boxes, all sorts of things. But the detail, my gosh, you guys, the detail is pretty unbelievable. So here we'll go through the comparisons. So on this one, you can see that the Vault is actually smaller than the original. And the detail, we went a little bit thinner. So anywhere we could thin out the piece, we thinned out the piece, but we kept every little bit of detail the same. So look at this, look at that stick. So see how much thinner that piece is? Isn't that cool? So good to see technology. I know this flower is a favorite of so many. So it's nice because, again, if you have these sets, now you have 2 sizes of those elements. So if you're making floral elements, or if you're doing cards, if you're doing any of those things, you can utilize that same flower that you like, but now you have different scale and different perspective. It's something that, honestly, when I designed product initially, I'd love to be able to include multiple sizes of the same shape. But most of the time people are like, nah, I don't really want that. And I really love the the value that Vault brings, because I can curate some of these most used shapes and provide a different size. I mean, look at that. But when you get to these other two, this is where I was like, oh, it's getting scary here. And Jen was like, sit back, I got this. I mean, look at that. How can a die get any smaller and more detailed than that and not lose any little anything? Magic. That's what's cool. So even on these weeds, this is one of my favorites, just because I love cutting this out of brown, and also I just love like the whole Forgotten Garden look where it's just weeds, but I love the details. So in this particular instance, all of these florals are smaller, but now they're to scale of this one. And the value, right? When you looked at these other ones, all of these Wildflowers, because this is from 1 and 2, these were both $25 each. So it's $50 for, and yes, you don't get the same amount. I understand. We're talking, 10 dies versus 6 dies, but still the fact that you're able to get a nice assortment for $20.99, that to me is where Vault, I think, is most impactful, because I said to Sizzix, and we went back and forth, they'll attest, we had a good sit down for a long time, like, we need to stay at $20.99. They're like, oh, that's just a hard price to meet now. And I'm like, that's what we need to be at, because as a maker, if I'm new, I can afford to buy the release, and if I already have the stuff, it's $20. Like, that's a trip to Starbucks, so I can justify that, saying, oh, I wouldn't mind having that, that's way better than, another $50 to get those flowers. So that to me is super important. And I hope you guys understand that and appreciate that for the Vault. Really, really pleased that Sizzix we rallied. Teamwork is what it's all about. Okay. Buckle up, Buttercup. This one's a good one. Okay, this is called Vault Floral Wreath. And this is inspired by a series I did for Sizzix called the Funky series. And it was Funky Floral 1, Funky Floral 2, Funky Floral 3, Funky Festive, Funky Foliage, Funky Wreath, Funky Cactus. It was all about the funk, the look of these flowers being a little bit more hand cut or kind of funky and whimsical. Now I can tell you this, for the funky, the wreath, the original Funky Wreath, let me grab this. This is the only one of all the funk that's still available. The rest of the funk got retired or is being retired. So all of these other ones that we pulled from, which are really some of my favorites because they just have so many things. EL and I had a blast doing these. These are all retired now. So if you can still find them because you want the different size, I suggest getting them. But the wreath, of course, is still available. But what we did is we went completely different. And here's what I'm also going to share in this live. Not only do we have this new wreath, which is the floral wreath, there will be a wreath for the Halloween release, which is fall, and a winter release wreath released for Christmas. So there's going to be 3 wreaths in the series. They are all the same scale in this new vault, same as each other, totally different than the originals. But this means that if you start buying these wreaths, you'll have all these pieces at the end of the year to mix and match to create wreaths for all seasons. So that's pretty exciting. So for this one, this wreath, this includes 5 different die sets. So you're looking at 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, like $120 of different dies in this one set. And here's the cool thing about it, okay? By having all of these different pieces, the wreath is really the star of the show, this massive foundation. But all of these elements, you'll see that these florals have all gotten smaller than these original ones. And the benefit of having these smaller flowers is that you can use them with newer things, like say Chapter 3, the envelope. You can now have flowers coming out of the envelope. Or maybe you wanted to use it on any of those other elements from Chapter 3, the slide frame, the file folder. Or you want to use it with the colorized animals. Having these smaller scale really provides a better use of these with some of our newer dies that really didn't exist when we first launched these. When we first launched these, they were just flowers. But now with so many other dies, it is really great to have a smaller scale of these pieces. So here's the comparison. We'll start with the wreath. That's the only thing in here that got bigger, right? We wanted a bigger wreath. So you can see compared to the regular one, the Vault one, massive, okay? But it would fit a really nice large card size. This is probably going to be better for maybe an A2 card, but maybe if you do large cards, or maybe you wanted to do more journal covers, or you're doing etc., or you want to put it in a vignette, you'll see that this is just much more of a statement piece. And I love how Jem was really able to keep the detail. But when we get into the funk, this is where it's great. We reimagined a lot of these elements. We simplified them too. Many of the funky had like 3 or 4 little fussy pieces, and we're like, let's put these together and kind of simplify them. So here's the comparison. I even marked them. So these are the flowers that are in Funky Floral 1. These are the ones we pulled out of 1. And you can see that the vault is smaller. Now, all these pieces still have their layered counterparts. Like I said, they're just simplified. So I'm only showing you the shadow for comparison. But for example, like on this flower, yes, it does have a center. Yes, it is part of the die. But just for comparison, I only wanted to do just showing you the overall silhouette. But even look at that little detail. So in Funky Floral 1, these are the elements, and they got smaller. Funky Floral 2, elements, they got smaller. And this is what I was saying where we reimagined it. This was the original piece in Funky Floral 2. Let me find you that die. Okay, but in this particular die, all these little flowers were separate, and you had to glue them all separate on top. And I said to Jen, what if we didn't do this? We just did those top flowers, but you connected them all. So for a maker, it's one pass and you have this little cluster of flowers. She's like, yeah, I can do that. So see, when I talk about reimagining, we really did go through each piece and think, how are they being used? And what's going to be the best way that they could be used? So I love the idea that we're able to still keep all the detail, but also simplify a lot of elements for making. These are the elements that came out of Funky Floral 3. You can see here that instead of this giant shrub, it's like, let's just do these little details. And look how skinny Jim was able to get the stem, the lines. This one is actually slightly bigger. This is the only one that I wanted to go a little bit bigger just because, well, because I am who I am. Because I really just liked the shape of it and I wanted it to kind of be the standout piece. So I'm like, can we just nudge that one? She's like, so everything else is small except one flower. I'm like, yeah, but this one's really great because if you have a shaping tool, this one curls really well. You can make a mum. You can do a lot of cool things with that particular flower die. Then we've got that other little poof. Maybe it could be a dandelion or just a little sparkle. And then you have that other flower. And again, all these elements can be mix and match. You'll see the makers already were one jump ahead, which is great. This is the one that came from Festive. A little paper shrapnel, there we go. So this is from Funky Festive. We've got the leaves. So these are smaller, even down to the vein. And then we've got the bow, but the bow is bigger. The bow had to be bigger because the wreath was bigger. So I just kind of references like these have been new sizes because some are big, some are small. The wreath got bigger. So really cool element. And again, all of those dies, all of these pieces for $20.99. See what I mean? Because when we created a bigger wreath, it created more space on our template, and all these other dies fit in here when we're designing it from that sheet of metal. This is where things matter. So this whole space we're able to put in other dies all the way around and still keep that value. It's kind of weird. It's cool how dies are done. Really amazing, amazing. I love it. I just love the whole design. It's fun. Okay, we got 2 more and then we'll get into the creative makes, and these 2 are really more structural. And I say structural because, you know, sometimes we need some dimensional elements, some 3D things to kind of work with. And I know that Zoe Hillman, she's been a fan of the pillow box, well, for years. And she uses it, whether it's been around or not, she don't care. And I like that she doesn't care because she likes it. And I don't blame her. This came from an original Biggs L. This was actually a mover and shaper. So this was a steel rule die that had these little pieces where you can drop in magnet steel rule dies and move, had some labels to it. So this was a Biggs L and it created this pillow box. And we wanted to reimagine it. But this one, not just doing a pillow box, but I wanted to kind of up it. If I'm going to do that, I need to do a little bit more. So this pillow box also has a bag and labels. So it's a pillow box, bag, and labels, which pulls from this Biggs L. It also pulls from, this was one of my favorites. I love this. This was a gift card bag. This is a great little bag, and it had this little stencil font that you could cut out. This is an old school, also retired. Both of these retired. So these are long gone. And then I wanted to pull from something pretty current. I know many of you are a fan of this die, as am I, the vintage labels, where you can ink and create. There are some new size vintage labels. There are 2 new labels in here of sizes that are not in this set. So if you have this set, you're actually getting 2 new sizes. And quite honestly, I put these dies, I'd put them in with this set because I don't care that I'd keep them with this. I'd put them right in with my magnet sheets of this because they're same art. So it's a little bonus. See, you don't know what you don't know. You think it's labels, but really it's the inkable labels, same specs and everything as vintage labels, but 2 sizes that are not in this SKU. So what does this do, and what are the size comparisons? Well, the cool thing about this particular die set is it is a pillow box, so it just opens like this. You're going to see some great makes. Also a great little gift bag. It does fit a gift card. It's just a little bit shorter. There's also a card in here. This is not an ATC size, but it's just a card because this is only 3.5 by 2.5. So this is a smaller card. I think it's like a 2 by 3, which is great for photos. Maybe you want to use the Ideology Photomatics in there. But you can use this die a lot of cool different ways, and I might get into that a little bit later. But let's talk about size. So this was the original pillow box. Okay, this was the bigs, and this is the new one. So this one you actually have to cut twice in order to make, whereas the first one you got to cut the entire thing. But you can see if I'll try to hold it up just so you can see that this particular pillow box, there we go, is bigger than the original one, but slightly bigger. I mean, when I say bigger, it's not significantly bigger, but it is a little bit bigger. It's a little bit longer, a little bit taller. It's really a nice size when it comes to working with this. There, let me line it up on the actual line because this is the fold tab. Oh, here you go. Get it together, Holtz. There, now it's comparing. There you go. You can see it's a little bit wider and a little bit, well, wider and longer, okay, on that one. You'll cut it twice, and I'll demo how this goes together a little bit later. Then for the bag, same thing. This was the original bag on that first retired Thinlit where you cut the whole thing. This is the new one. You cut 2, you flip them, you put them together, and you make a little gift bag that has that great little pinked edge, top and bottom, so you'll still get the little cutout arch, which is fun. So this particular card, the reason I wanted to do this is because I wanted to create a card with rounded corners that fit in this bag. So if you were doing junk journaling, if you were doing scrapbooking, if you wanted to do a card and you wanted to put a sentiment in with the gift card, you didn't have to go in and measure the bag and hand cut a piece of paper and put it in there. So this card fits in this bag. You can slide it in. So that makes it really easy for a maker, okay? But in addition to that, because these dies are open, these new ones from the vault, you can take this card, so this is the card die, and if I'm cutting the bag, I can place this inside at the same time and actually have a window cut out of my bag. So maybe I put in a piece of acetate, or maybe I place this into the pillow box as I cut it, and now I have a window, and you'll see one of the makes, Anita did a really cool window make, where you can cut a window out of the pillow box. So not only is it a card that already fits in the bag, so you don't have to do that, because that's pretty annoying. You make something and then you have to measure it and cut and chop, but it's a finished card that can be used with the bag, but also windows for both the bag and the box. Make sense? Hopefully that makes a little bit more sense for you. I do try to think of, well, too many things, I'm sure, because, you know, Jen gets it like everyone else. I'm like, wouldn't it be cool if we had this? And you can see, like, I mean, how much real estate. We maximize every little bit from our template of what we can fit in there. And then of course on our labels. So these are the labels from the vintage label. There's the new set for the vault. And when you see that size, you're like, how did I not have that size? Because that is like the perfect in-between size, because this is big, this is small, this is just right. Same thing with this one. You have those long skinny labels. This is the one in vault. And this is like your classic old school kind of Denison size label. So yeah, that's the one in the vault. So having those sizes really enhance this set greatly. So again, value, all of that, $20.99. I say $20 because ask Mario. If it ends with any kind of change past the decimal, I don't round up or down, I just drop it off.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's what you do.
It doesn't even exist. He's like, no, he's actually 21. I'm like, no, anything after the dot doesn't count. He's like, but it does. But that's just how that. But it does. But that's who I am, right?
Everyone is really happy on all of your explanations.
Well, thanks.
Why you did this with that. And
thank you.
Yeah.
I'm really trying, because I felt that out of all the lives, this one was really value, because I know people are, you know, soon as the stuff comes out, they go online. They're like, here's what it is. He didn't have this. He was out of ideas. He did this because of this. It's like, okay, okay. Just wait. I'll explain. All right. This one I know is going to tick the boxes for a lot of people because I would say it was the most requested die for years in the running, where people are like, will you do another rosette? Will you do another rosette? Will you do another rosette? And I'm like, no, I don't want to do another rosette. So when we decided to do the vault, I'm like, Jen, we need to do a rosette, but we have to do it really different because I did rosettes really from the very beginning when they were decorative strip dies, those long banana dies, I called them. They were super, super long. They cut okay, but they had that little bit of foam on there. And that's when we did the first rosettes. We actually also did another rosette die that was a thinlit years later. This one's also retired, but this one had 3 different rosette dies, and it also has these seals. But in our early technology, in order to create something that had a really strong crease, I went in and just did perforations. So I did that for decorative strips and for these older ones because that was a quicker fold. But of course, in today's world with new technology, what we learned on the vintage labels about creating that thicker, deeper embossing line, that's the technology we used on this new Vault Rosette, is we put in that deeper score line. So this is not perforated like these other ones. It's just a score, so it's not going to shred apart. But this one has a lot of great versatility when it comes to how you can create with the rosette. And Zoe Hillman did a really cool make to share how those features really come to life. I'll show you that. But we didn't stop with just a rosette, which I thought we would be out of room on a template. We created these other little elements. So a rosette needs obviously centers. So for this one, we added a couple centers. Now I will say, and I'm not sure if the production was corrected or not, but just know that this die, at least my packaging and maybe the first run of packaging, says in here that there's only 6 dies, but really there are 7. It's because whoever does the math on this didn't really catch that there's 2 seals in this one. So if you see like, hey, I've got 7, it says 6. It is 7, and all the future packaging, they've already made a running change, but I think the first batch already went out and says 6. So it's a bonus die. Better to go up than down on that one. So for this rosette, you get the rosette, 2 seals. You also get another vintage label. This is a circle. So yes, this is the same art and size as the other vintage labels. And then you have a flat circle, and I'll share that with you. But then you get these dimensional elements. One from Faceted Stars, or Faceted Hearts, one of my favorites that has been retired. I do love this one, but it's a medium size. It's a size that's in between. I'll do a scale comparison. This is another one I loved it. This one is the dimensional stars. And I loved this thinlet because it created all these puffy stars. So we brought back a star because this is also retired, but it's a new shape. So if you have these, you're still getting new sizes for these elements. And here are the comparisons on these. So here you can see on the Faceted Heart, there was a big one and a small one in the pack. Now we got one right in the middle. Again, perfect for a card front, but also nice that if you have this die, now you can utilize different sizes, especially if you wanted to create a background. This one on the stars, there again, those are the 2 sizes of stars, and there's that in between. Isn't that crazy? See, when you see the big jump between this and that, you're like, gosh, there isn't anything in between. So this was all the time that we spent going through this. It did take us a long time to go through 15 years of art and not only pick what would really work best, but we had to see if we could not only have a different size, but could it all fit on that template for $20.99. So this rosette, even though it's the rosette, the heart, the star, the seals, still $20.99. That's the benefit of Vault. My gosh, you can tell I'm jumping out of my skin on that because it's cool. All right. So the circle that I talk about, this one in the middle. So let me just hold this close. These 2 are just like a pinked seal. This one is that debossed line, and this one is just a circle. That little ring right there is just kind of the paper bruising from the die. This is the only one that has a debossed line intentionally. Okay, this circle. And that is because it is a circle from the vintage labels. So these are the 2 circles in the original vintage labels. There's that new size circle. It's a little bit bigger. It's not substantially bigger. It's just a little bit, but I'd rather have one than not. And then we have this one. I do love this. This actually, from all of these little rosettes, these are the ones that are from the original rosette die. All of these tiny little seals. And these are the 2 new ones in the vault. So you can see if you have this original, now you have a really nice scale, not just for the rosette, but just seals. I mean, this is a classic shape. This is a great shape to do out of metallic cardstock, to do on envelopes, to stamp on. So it is just a great shape, even if you're not using it every time with the rosette. Don't forget you have it, because sometimes if you put it away with the rosette, you'll forget that you have those seals. So it just depends on how you store your dies. But having that pinked edge is really great. So that's from the original. These two are new for the vault. And then here's how we did the rosette. Again, when we see the makes, you'll understand it a little bit more. I might demo it at the end if we have time. But this is the rosette die. And what we did, you can see how deep that embossing is. So it already scores the card to make it easy to just finger fold. But by having it in sections, it allows you to create different sizes of rosettes with one die. So we can create large rosettes, small rosettes, wide rosettes, narrow rosettes, all with the same die. Because instead of it being perforated where it would rip apart, this allows you to cut it to different sizes. This particular rosette that I did for the packaging, that's about 3 3/4 inch diameter, is 3 of these. You just cut it 3 times and you stick it together and you make a rosette. So like I said, if we have time at the end, I'll go in and demo that. So there you have it. That's Vault. There is a lot of cool stuff just in those 8 SKUs, but some cool fundamental things, and you're going to see how the makers really brought these pieces to life in such cool ways. So again, a shout out to the makers for creating so many cool things. I'm going to bring in all the makes over here, because they did. They were just, it was like a creative free-for-all. They were able to just take what they wanted and mix and match, and I hope they had fun making too, because I loved it. All right. Here we go. We're good, Mario? Were there any questions that I missed? I tried to watch the chat, and thanks so much for you guys for really liking the vault concept. It makes me very, very happy. Because of course, when I was, bringing this up to Sizzix, they're like, "Are you sure you just want to do old art?" I'm like, I don't look at it as old art. I look at it as just art that needs to have the spotlight shined a little bit again. All right, so we're going to start out. I tried to break down the makes mostly by die set, but some will be kind of a mix and match, so I'll do my best to call out what they are. This card is from Keisha, and so this uses the new Lovebird. So here you can see the size of that bird, and then you can see those hearts. These are just cut out of alcohol ink card. Just what a great card, right? Just to take that heart, now that you have that as a thinlet instead of a bigs, you can just replicate that one shape instead of always cutting all those hearts together. Then, of course, as I mentioned on the silhouette birds, having a bigger bird, believe it or not, it's just a nice scale for a card front. It is. It also pairs well like with Ideology. There's that little label sticker, love you, and then she just did an embossed background. But a great way to just use that Lovebirds die set and create a card, whether that's Valentine's coming up or just a love you card. They're fun. This next card, Joy created just using little wobblers and putting those together. There's that font from Hippity Hop. Like I told you, it's really fun to use. I love how she used the 2 different hearts, the smaller ones, the small one for the O in Lovebirds, and then that one right in between. I also like how you can just create that texture using a 3D folder, or it could be patterned paper. Here she die cut out of fabric and left that little tattered edge. But see what I mean? Like these birds, they fit great on a card, but you can still fit more than one on a card as well. Stacy created these 2 little mixed media grungy tags. So you can take a number 8. People I think sometimes get so hung up on the surface. Like, what do you do with a tag? The cool thing about a tag, just because it's a tag doesn't mean you can't cut it shorter. I love the size of this tag. It's like an old school little luggage tag. But she made these little collage tags. She cut the number 8 tag a little shorter, did some stitching, took a little bit of fabric and some circle stitching in the background. But take a look at how she just took those birds, cut them out of an inky background. There's that little heart, so you can use it as an embellishment. This is what I was saying, that we gave a really great scale to utilize it. And then the branch. I know that Stacy was probably disappointed that she couldn't go out and get a stick, but hey, she may have been happy because she's like, I already got sticks. I have a die cut stick. So it's a really nice size for really a lot of different makes, even if you're going for just the stick. But see what I mean? Having those bigger birds, very, very good. You can use it in such a cool collage way. Love it. All right. This next one, Zoe with a Y, Zoe in Italy created this. Again, a mixed media take on working with the birds. I love the rusty, grungy, crackly look. And this is the thing that has always been such a favorite thing in designing dies and embossing folders. When you design shapes, shapes can really take on any personality just based on what the maker uses it with, right? Whether that's with grungy things or colorful things. And in this case, she took the branch, she took the heart, she took the bird, and really created a cool, grungy collage card. Just using, there's a little bit of mummy cloth in there, some thread. I love all the Ranger paste in the background, a little ideology tag. Cool, right? See, be fearless. So cool. Then Emma created this. This is an etc. tag. So this is an etc. tag upside down. You can use etc. You can use a panel. You can do ideology vignettes. But this is where I'm talking about larger things. If you like to create bigger, maybe you're doing home decor, maybe again, you're doing journal things. Having bigger scaled elements are important. They also allow you to work with other things, right? Whether that's a moon mask, or maybe you got the new moonlight die for Halloween or Christmas, but having those bigger birds, it creates a much better perspective. You can see that the branch is designed that it can be used either direction, right? Whether that twig is going up or whether that it's coming down. I love how she used just that alphabet. I love that giant bold type, but then you can still mix it with that font that is in the Hippity Hop. So you've got love is in the air, and then all of these little hearts and the little puffy clouds. Charming little make. And this, again, it's etc. This is Stampers Anonymous. So this is cool because you can gift it to someone. They could put it on an easel, hang it on a wall, or even put it inside a wreath. Maybe they have a spring wreath, or maybe they just want to put it next to photos. I love it. Very cool. I love how Emma just really creates so many inky layers. Because maybe you're going to want to do some cardstock, a little ideology, and I love that too. Look at that little bird just holding the heart. I just noticed that. Just holding it like ready to gift it. Not having it. But they will. They'll come around. Love is in the air. All right. Oh, thanks, Mario, for that little basket. All right. This next set, Juliana created this. Look at this little series of cards. I always say that when you have an idea, and maybe you're a card maker, you like to send cards to a lot of people, there's nothing wrong with just knocking it out in multiples. You sit it down and you're like, okay, I'm going to cut these pieces. I'm going to do my inky backgrounds. And so I always love when makers send that little card set because it's a great reminder of what to do. But here, Juliana went back and there's some paper, some ideology backdrops, do a little stencil with crackle paste. There is that wreath, and this is cut twice. So you can cut it twice and offset it just to make it a little bit fuller. That's what she did on all of these. And then we've got all of these little hearts. And then I really love, this looks like ideology. Yeah, this looks like the packaging for the ideology backdrops, because these are the mini papers, and see how it's kind of glossy. So that's really clever, Juliana. She took that, that front that has, or the front and the back has a little snippets of paper, really clever. And then she just stitched through there. So you can see each one where it already looks collaged, but that's just repurposing the packaging to create these little patchwork birds. That's really clever. So save some of your art from the packaging. That's smart. And then we've got just hello there, you do you, and thank you. Cute card set. Love the patchwork birds, love the hearts and the wreath. So this is what I was saying, that having the right scale for the Vault collection to mix and match, it was important that the bigger birds work with the bigger wreath and so on. But you already know that because you watched from the beginning, so you get the whole scale, right? Of course. This next card Rochelle created, I love just seeing how Rochelle utilizes so many different papers and finishes and patterns. So here we've got a beautiful embossed background that's been stitched in patchwork. We've got the metallic, and there is that alphabet cut out. So remember, on those alphabet dies, because they're individual, you don't have to use the positive. You can also place them down to spell something and run it through, right? You may have to run it through a couple times because you don't get multiples, but patience pays off. You can place this down, especially if you use sticky grid. So I love how she did that negative cutout with metallic. And then you can see the wreath with all of the beautiful funky florals that are in it. I love how she double cut the bow and offset it just to give it a little bit more dimension. And then there is that bird with a heart. And again, that heart could be raised like it is here and how Stacy did it, or you can place it down and you can, cut out the bird and then put the heart down, run it through again and cut out the heart from the center. But a great use of different papers and colors on a card. And I love that font. See, again, this is now using, Lovebirds Vault, the wreath, and just the alphabet from that Hippity Hop, because it's a really good, having it smaller just allows you to spell more things on a card front too, having a smaller font. All right. Another take, Kubert created a colorful card. I love seeing just that quilted background, a little bit of crackle. Isn't it cool how, I'll bring Rochelle's card back in, right? So two makers can make stuff. This is what I was saying about having shapes. Just by what you use, or the elements, whether it's paper, ink, or paint, it can completely change the feel. This one has a little bit more of a vintage vibe, and this one is just more of a colorful, springy, retro vibe. So you can totally change it up based on your mood. But here Kubert went in, there's a lot of colorful, inky florals. There's a little bit of rock candy. Can you see that little bit of sparkle? So remember, if you got that big limited edition jar of rock candy, put it to use. Don't just put it away after Christmas. Just give a little sparkle to your spring makes, any of your makes. I love that. There's a little bit of tape on that bird before she cut it out, and then one of the stickers, the small talk stickers with brave wings, she flies. Isn't that great? Little crackle paste through a stencil. Just a good card. Wonderful to just mix all these together. Then Jan created this. So this is an etc., but this is an etc. panel. So etc., this is from Stampers Anonymous. This is it's a hardboard, it's a paper board, but it comes in tags. It also comes in different panels now. And I love how Jan took this, started a foundation of a small embroidery hoop. You see that little hoop there? Love how like she just painted it and inked it to look all rusty. Put it over an ideology backdrop, and then started to build that wreath / nest, if you will, in that hoop. And I think it's just great with the colors. There's a little bit of mica stain in there. There again, it's important to remember that when you buy things through the season, especially during the season, because I think the season is when we just start, we're just buying because 'tis the season. But keep those products out. Remember, just because it was released at Halloween or Christmas because it was a mica stain, use it, because those colors are still going to be absolutely amazing to use year round. But I love the repetition of die cuts, right? Take any of those pieces and just cut them and cut them and cut them. Lay those florals, the birds, the bow. Then you've got some little mummy cloth tucked in there for some texture from Ideology. And then just life. See that little clippings right there? Life is full of beauty. Beautiful. Wonderful make. And this is always good. You know, I always think people throw out challenges for the year. So I'm not going to throw out a challenge, but I'm going to tell you this. As a maker, if you get tired or bored with what you do, I think it is important to go in and change things up, right? Which is exactly what Jan did. Jan's like, okay, yeah, I can take this and put it on a card, but I can also make something home decor. So if you're a card maker and you're like, oh, I'm just so bored with making cards, there's nothing, it's not a bigger leap. You're just taking what you would normally put on a card and maybe dimensionalize it a little bit more, give it a little bit more life, and creating something that you can just hang in your own personal craft room, right? Or gift it. It's not that far of a leap, but I think sometimes people are intimidated by the dimensional elements, and you really shouldn't be, because that's the fun of it. That's half the fun. So that kind of takes us right into the wreath, because many people obviously use the wreath with the birds. So it's only natural that we go into the makes that are using the floral wreath. Sharon created this card. I love this. I love the contrast that Sharon did with having the wreath. You can see in the background, she cut out the wreath in gold metallic and also in black. So you can see you'll get a little bit of that reflection here or there with that gold metallic, and then also the contrast of the black. And I think that really makes these flowers pop, right? Take those colors, and I love how she clustered them together by color, because if you don't want to be a florist, if you're like, oh, I don't know what color to cut this flower and this and that, just cut it whatever you want. But I love how she kind of grouped the purple and the yellow and the green and the red together and use that sticker. Isn't that great? Really cool contrast. And then the little splattering of the black and the gold paint tied it all together, and a little Ideology metallic sticker. There's a hello friend. Those are metallic stickers in there that already come foiled. Beautiful, beautiful make, Sharon. Just a lot of fun. Now, the wreath, as you've seen, could be floral, bright, vibrant, or it could be simple and shabby. So Stacy created this. Beautiful card with an inky background, very soft palette, little stitching, but just using a couple elements of choice. Just because all those elements don't come in there doesn't mean you have to use every single flower and put it on there. You can do what you want to do. You do you. And adding those little bits with green and spring, a little Stampers Anonymous stamp. I know those those tiny, I think they're tiny type or tiny text. I love those sets. Stacy does too. And I love how she always stitches them on going across the card. But isn't that beautiful? So if you have inky backgrounds, this is also, I mean, I'm reminded every time I talk about Sizzix, if you're an inker, you like to do backgrounds, be that alcohol ink or distress or anything, and you have a background that you absolutely hate, save it. Because chances are when you die cut it, it becomes magic. Because you get all these little nuances and colors that you didn't like in its entirety, but when you cut it up, not to say that these weren't beautiful backgrounds to start with, but my point is, save it for die cutting because it's a great way to use that stuff up. All right, now we have a couple of card sets, which I thought was really cool. This is what I mentioned about the Wreath. So Barbara created this. Take a look at this little card series of taking the Wreath and mixing it up with some of the other dies to kind of create this seasonal card. There's two sets. Barbara did one, Kath did one that's coming up. But I love how she took the elements and like, okay, I'm going to do a Valentine card. So she used the elements from the Wreath, used the hearts from Lovebird, used the faceted heart from the Rosette die, and then created a Valentine wreath. And then incorporated it with stamps and stencils, a little stitching. But what a fun use for this particular die, especially mixing and matching all of those elements. And if you don't have all these, you probably have something, right? The whole point is understanding that the size of this wreath allows you to put stuff on it and in it. So you might be like, oh, I already have some other hearts that I can do. I didn't get Lovebird, or I already have an embellishment that I want to use. I don't want to use the faceted. You do what works for you. But then giving it a spring mix. I love how she took the bunny from Hippity Hop. This is cut out of felt. So Sizzix does a line of felt. You can try different felts, but Sizzix felt is really meant for die cutting. I don't know if it has to do with the fibers or how they cut, but you could play around. But yes, you can cut felt and fabric with the thin dies. You may have to give it a couple of passes, but I love how she took that bunny and cut it. Again, the scale of that bunny was very important to me. I wanted a bigger rabbit. I wanted one that would fit on a regular A2, but also slimline, or in the case of mixing it with something, that it had a better proportion to anything else. So there is the bunny, the tie, and the butterfly from Vault Hippity Hop, and then those are some of the elements that Barbara used from the floral wreath. Cool, right? I even love how she gave it a Halloween spin with the uninvited guests, a little crackle background. She cut out the bird in black like a raven, and then just put that on this wreath, and then just used some greens and purples to create more of a little gothic vibe for the wreath. Fun idea, right? Very fun. And then I love this one. I love the festive touch using that dimensional star. There's a little confections in there, a little peppermint right in the middle, a couple of bows. I love the wintries. She cut this out of Distress Sparkle craft stock. So see how it's just kind of sparkly but not glittery. It's one of my favorite papers to use because it has just that little sparkly shimmer but not glitter. I just love the look of it. And then of course we have that whole background that she's done. Some stenciling and some sewing. Cool. Fun series though. But I will tell you that there are other wreaths coming. So that just means that if you're already starting there, imagine when you have other fall or Halloween elements or pine and wintry things to grow, and completely different wreath foundations as well. A lot of fun, but a great idea to get you started making for the year. So far so good, Mario?
Doing really good.
Okay, great. All right, so here is another set. This one is from Kath. Look at this. So totally different vibe, totally different idea, but concept is looking at that and saying, I'm going to create this for all the seasons. And I love how Kath incorporated an inky background. She did the wreaths, but then she also went in with that alphabet from Hippity Hop and added words to really tie in the season. So Kath created this inky background. Look at those bright colors, and she did hello spring. I love where she used that label just as part of it. So that new size allows you to stamp inside really well. Very cool with the splatter. Then for summer, just switch up the palette. You can use some different flowers. I love that bright pink, and it's summer. Really fun. And you could, again, so if you don't have Hippity Hop, and you bought Santa Greetings, maybe try to use that alphabet. It's still going to work. It's just a little bit bigger. So you may be limited to what fits inside, but it's still fun. That's a really clever idea. Wait till I get to the winter one. Sometimes it takes me a bit because I don't really look at these until live, but I love seeing the details that makers do. I love the colors too that Kath used. Here's Happy Fall. So you're taking those flowers and just mixing up the colors, and I love the incorporation of stamps, taking some stamps that pair well with it, cutting that out of brown. And this one, winter. Look at that. Would have never really saw that flower as a poinsettia, but it has that poinsettia vibe, and I love the detail of those little snowflakes. Maybe those little snowflakes, I think those might be from twig and stump. I think they're really, really cute. I love the pop of green and just that white wintry wreath. But this is great. If you need to fit in a word, that font, because it already has that little whimsy vibe, just stagger it. So you can fit that word, Winter Wishes. But fun card set. Kath, see Kath and Barbara, they got the seasons down. They're ready to make cards for the whole year. Me, on the other hand, well, we didn't fare too well, did we?
Well, we got a few made.
We got a few. Zoe with a Y, Zoe in Italy, created this spring card. I love how she utilized the wreath. Then she also took that bunny from Hippity Hop and then created that little banner. And I love how the butterflies are really the anchors for that, and did spring. A fun card to mix a lot of different elements, right? If you wanted to add some spring elements or add some florals, but I also like the muted palette. Not surprised, she loves vintage, as do I, but I thought that was really a clever way to kind of anchor that if you wanted to put that into the corner and add those letters. A little bit of glossy accents on the letters and the bow tie. Fun, right? See, fun ideas. That's what the live is all about. It's just so you can come back and look at these ideas. We break it down by dies, so when it's time stamped, it's going to be easier to follow and search. So Natifa created this one. Natifa, she always creates something unique, something dimensional. Maybe it's an envelope. In this case, it's kind of this fold out. And when I first did it, I was like, oh, I love how she used the butterfly, because here's what I was talking about, that by having that new Vault Scribbly butterfly, you have that solid foundation, that piece back here, and then you have the detail layer, and you can see just how well it works. It's just a small little outline, but perfect enough to anchor it. But then when I opened it, I was like, it's just fun. Come on, it's fun. Take a look at this. Hip, hip, hooray. Hip, hip, partay. Yeah, that is so fun. Not only did she just dress them up, but she's got like little trousers on here, or just like the little overalls, because she cut them in different color stock. But talk about that little hippity hop bunny party. And then she has the bag right here. So this is the little gift bag, the label, and then she's got the wildflowers coming out of the bag. Isn't that fun? And I really love the contrast of putting it over that gear ideology backdrop. But imagine this being, so like that could be a card. 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 Or you can mix it all. I love that it's kind of this fold out. It's also like a little triptych. So if you gift it to someone, they can stand it up on a mantle. But really clever ideas, not just how you create the whole little sentiment and statement, but I also love just the layers to kind of dress up those little bunnies, and she has little mirrored stars on everything, the butterflies flying around, the little flowers. Isn't that fun? So you can look at a lot of these and get those ideas. And Zoe said that at the beginning of live, that, having a notepad handy. I do recommend that when you're watching any videos. Just have that, because, when you're in it, when you're watching it, it's pure entertainment. It's eye candy. You're watching it. Then when it's done, you're like, what was the thing with the thing and the thing? If you write yourself a little note, it might be easier to search when these are time-stamped, and they're always time-stamped the following week. So time-stamp, it's already categorized. Makes it easier. But what a clever make. I love that, Tifa. It's just really just charming and easy to mail. You can see she's got it to where you could just put it in an envelope and mail it. Just really, really clever. The mirrored stars, these are ideology. They're really tiny. I love them. Very cute. Okay. With that butterfly at the beginning, that takes us into our Vault Scribbly butterfly make. So see, I kind of had this, it was like the makers just knew. I said to Mario setting up, I'm like, one went into the next, went into the next, went into the next. So these two makes, Keisha created these. I just kind of put them together because I love how she took that 3D folder. I love that little woven folder. I love this basket weave. That is one of my favorite 3D folders. The texture is amazing. And she did it not only on a card front, but she also did it for this pillow box. So you can see, isn't that great? You can add, this has mica stain on it, so you can see that beautiful shine. You can add mica stain, you could add resist, you can do so much stuff. But then here's what I was talking about, the shakety shake. So thanks so much, Keisha, for doing this shakety shake idea. By having that silhouette a little bit bigger, that solid die that comes with the Vault, it allows you to create a really nice window that when you put this butterfly, and I love how she's got this butterfly just layered. It's almost like a vellum over the top of it. So it's really, really faint, but you can see that you still have that little border, because I know you could take a regular die and still cut a window, but having that little outer border, I think just gives more detail because you can appreciate the outline of the butterfly. So she's got a little shakety shake in there. There's some mica in there. And then she has another butterfly added to the top, and then Happy Spring. But this is really charming because this might be just a gift set that you give to someone. Here's a card, and maybe you put a little gift in there for spring, a little gift box with the butterfly and the twine on there. But I really loved how she took the idea. That's what I was saying. You can take an idea for a card and you can try applying it to something else, or vice versa. Maybe you're like, I'm not really much a card maker. It's not a big leap. It really is just about how you incorporate those products, whether it's on something flat and folded or on something dimensional. But I love just the use of the products, of the inks and the micas and all of that stuff, well beyond the Christmas season. Okay, absolutely beautiful. Good fun. Then going to the grungy side, because butterflies don't always have to be pastel and pretty. They could be grungy and industrial, as Vicky shows us. Take a look at this cool, grungy, rusty butterfly. This is, when people see art, they're like, I can't believe you did a butterfly. I'm like, yeah, but it's a Scribbly butterfly. So if you put it with the right colors, you'll see that it pairs really well with grunge. It also pairs really well with pretty. But this is why the whole Scribbly is one of my favorites. I've done a lot of butterflies, and when I made the choice to bring one back from the vault, it was this one, because I love the illustration that I licensed for these, because they are very not perfect. They're just really haphazard and kind of imperfect, and that's what I love about these butterflies. You can see layering that solid. It's very impressive when you put it on a make, because that's what allowed that solid to come through. Then Vicky layered that with all little foam squares, and I love that 3D background with that industrial background, and then using a little chapter 3 with a number. It's not a cool card. So for those that are like, I don't think I like butterflies because I like grunge, this card should definitely change your mind, because it's very cool. Brown for the win, grunge for the win, little grit paste. None better. That's it. Very good. This next card series, I gotta say, like, I love these card series. Kubert created these. Take a look at these. Look at those beautiful colors. This is where, again, you sit down and you have to make a series of cards, or maybe you're making spring cards, whatever that is. You can go in and take these elements and compartmental make. Do your backgrounds, do your layers, do your elements, do your die cuts, and they really can come together really well. Kubert created these just by taking a lot of different elements. So the backs of these, they're embossed, got a 3D embossing folder. Then there's a backdrop. Then when you look here, this is a frame die. So this is an old school Biggs frame die, but you can use any kind of frame. Maybe it's a frame that you have, maybe it's a metal frame, maybe it's an ideology baseboard. Then she went in, did a little sewing detail around the edges, and then added the butterfly. Here, she cut one layer in black and then one layer that's ink. This way, when these wings just get like a little bend, so they're just attached in the body, you still get that great little offset drop shadow. And I love how she just did each one just so unique, with there's a little corrugated in the background, use your wings. I love that little element. So any of these pieces, maybe it's a layer frame, maybe it's a piece of ephemera. It can really be anything. But I love how the color of that butterfly, it ties in the background, but it also is so bold and vivid that it really pops. And again, on the black. It's pretty cool how, like, Kubert and Sharon used black on the spring makes, but you can see how that really does pull this together really well. Love that. See, the butterflies for the win, and they're big. This is what I was saying. By having that other scale, having that bigger butterfly, it becomes the statement for a card. It's almost like, it's not as huge as Perspective Butterfly, but that was really what I was thinking. Is I saw so many people appreciate having a card and having one specific image. It makes it easy, especially if you're making a lot of things that you don't want to cut 20 things to put on a card. So having one big statement piece, very cool. This next little group of cards, beautiful. These are from Jen. I love how Jen created these cards, again, using your backgrounds, using your colorful backgrounds. Jen is a huge fan of distress, be that ink, pencils, you name it. And I always love how She just creates these cards that are clean, colorful, but oh so distressed. That's really what I love. So here you can see she did this scribbly background. I love that with a pencil. And then use that font from Hippity Hop. And this is what I was saying about having that solid die and why it was so impactful to have it that didn't come in the original Scribbly, because now you can just do a colorful background, die cut the other detailed layer in black, and stack it. So there's Enjoy Today, and then you have Hello Friend. And I always say also as a maker, right? If you're a maker, we make because we love to make. That's why you should be making, by the way, just a reminder. You should be enjoying every minute and not stressing out about perfection. It's totally overrated. When you make, it's also great, even if you're sending someone a card, it's great to make them a set of cards so they have them to send to a friend. Not everyone's a maker. So that in itself is a gift. And I love how you can, take that concept and cut out your backgrounds and just make some really beautiful, beautiful cards. Don't you love the rainbows? Yeah. This is, and I know Jen's watching too, because I'm like, we really need to fit that in. She's like, I don't know if I have the space. I'm like, let's do what we can. Let's cheat it as close as we can. And literally you'll see on the die set, these pieces like nest together like perfect because we didn't really have much room. So I absolutely love this. Very, very cool. All right. Last set of cards for the butterflies, and we'll move on to another die set. Rochelle created this. Now, I always find it fascinating, and I say this in every live, I don't know what the makers are going to make, and I don't go through what the makers make until live. Yeah, I sort them, but I don't really go into detail, but I always look at them, and it's very, you can ask anyone that has been around me, it's very easy for me to identify my product in a second. I've been doing this for 20 years, but I'm always really fascinated by how makers utilize things so differently. They all get the same thing. They know they're making for live. They know kind of what the themes are, but yet they do their own thing. So when Rochelle created these, I was like, it's a very fascinating way to take the dies, okay, and layer them inked over inked. So here you've got that ink over a blended background. But do you notice the background of the cards? Do you see how all those cards look embossed? They're not. It's die on die. It's taking, these are the Vault Wildflowers, cutting them and gluing them on top. So cut them out of the same color as your card base and glue them on, and it gives you the illusion that it's embossed paper. Isn't that just, it's a great tip. You can do that with any color, but it's absolutely a great idea because so many times people are like, I need an embossing folder that fits this. I'm like, yeah, okay, that's great that there are those embossing folders. But sometimes you know that with certain patterns, it can become overwhelming and busy. But what a great thing to just take those, glue them on to create the backgrounds and not be afraid to cover it up, right? Make it look like it's part of that whole background by covering it up. She added a little metallic. She did that beautiful stitching. Look at that straight line. Rochelle is a sewer, so no way would you, you would never see a card like that for me. No, I'd be off-roading, come back, do a little burnout here. Yeah, that's me. But yeah, so I love the look of these, and especially seeing how that layered die was so important to a lot of makers. Doesn't mean you have to use it. You saw that not every maker had to use that, but I love just understanding the importance of like, why did he give us this shadow one? I just want the butterfly, because that's what's going to give you all of that color inside. And it could be matchy-matchy, it could be contrast, it could be detail on, I'm trying to grab all these cards, detail on detail, or it could be grunge, or it could be pearl. So many things, right? So many things. It's crazy just to see how makers did it. Absolutely love it. All right. Well done. Okay.
All right.
So with that, we're moving on to flowers. I know Mario's like, I'm trying to get you organized, and then you shuffle it around. But moving on to florals. So Zoe with a Y created this, Zoe in Italy, absolutely stunning. I have to say, I had to do like a double take, because Zoe's usually very grungy. This has such a beautiful vintage love to it. It's just gorgeous, especially how these flowers are colored. So Zoe created this, and I love the spring yet grungy, inky, stainy vibe and sewing. This is my kind of sewing, how she took all of these pieces from the new Vault wildflowers and added them to the card. That's what I was saying, that having that scale, having those pieces smaller allows you to put them together and not be overwhelming. Scale is what we learn more than anything doing this vault collection, that you'd be surprised by changing something bigger or smaller, changes it. But look at the detail of just going in with your inks, your watercolors, your pencils, coloring that. I love how she did it around, see this little slide frame? This is from the chapter 3 from the specimen set. The slide frame is kind of the anchor, and then just these flowers coming around it, the little leaves, the little inks. This is, see that little detailed? I told Jen when she did that twig, I'm like, Jen, this twig is my favorite. It's just so skinny and detailed that you just put in those little twigs. That's the best. But beautiful card, and that is where you're going to see from these flowers how the makers can just create beautiful things with the wildflower dies, and that's why those wildflower dies were so popular, that we've done so many, but having the scale is so good. So Kath created this. I always love how, you know, Kath can take things. Kath is, first of all, a making machine. She just makes and makes and makes, and I love what she does. But I love how, you know, she can do cards, she does journals, she does, you know, this whole gift idea is really brilliant. Here she took a gift bag, but look at the lattice work. You see that? That's not a stencil, that's not paste, that's a die. She took that same twig that I just talked about and created the repetition in the background to create that beautiful lattice work on a paper bag, a gift bag. And then added all of those flowers. It comes out of the bag. This is the paper bag that is in the pillow box and bag set for the vault. There's the label. And then she just has the flowers tied to the outside with some ribbon, and also all those beautiful flowers coming out of the bag. But a bag on a bag to put stuff in the bag. Isn't that beautiful? The background, brilliant. Just saw that piece because it does. It has that straight linear feature, but just the elegance of those little leaves. That's a great idea. No denying that. And then we have the pillow box. So same idea where she glued in those pieces, glued those on her background. So that becomes the background paper. And then do all of your inking, your painting, your dry brushing over the top of that to create texture. So yes, you can use embossing folders. Keisha used an embossing folder to create on that, but you can also incorporate your dies, especially if you're going to use those same pieces on the top. So I love how Kath just used a little label, added those other pieces, and the little flower. So again, that flower now is to scale of the pillow box. Doesn't mean you have to have it. If you have the original one, the stem, just realize you're going to need to chop it off because it's bigger than the new vault. The vault was really designed to all work together because I had the mindset of, hey, if you've never die cut before and you want to get started, you can get these and they're all going to work. But hey, if you've been making for 15 years and you have these dies and you may not have gotten all of them, well, you can trust that these new scales will also work with what you have. So I think that's important. Beautiful, huh? Great details. So cool to see how makers just take ideas and run with it. So Tifa created this. I love this envelope. I love the idea of the envelope kind of being open where that card comes out. But take a look at that. Just a paper envelope, but look at the beautiful colors of all of those florals. So again, your inky backgrounds, die cut them apart, start layering those pieces. I love how Natifa just used a little ideology paper. I'm trying to pop that open. There you go. To create a little envelope. Then she did the birds. There's the twig, the little hello. Love the mix and match of that. And then she has that card inside, the love you with the wreath. And again, on black. Gosh, so many makers on black. It's so cool. But I love that little splattery background and just the detail where Tifa goes in and uses a little puffy pen, does the detail elements outside on the butterflies, a little stamping and inking on the bird and the wreath, and then that font. Everything just goes together, and the colors are so fun and vibrant in spring. See, I just keep trying to squeeze it to pop it open. There we go. So this is the whole idea of creating something that is the gift from envelope to card, just using your dies and adding that as a detail. I know those colors, it just pulls you right in, huh? All of those yumminess. And again, I think it has to do with just those neutrals and black as your foundation. It really does make things pop. It is so much fun. So much fun just to see how, and makers, this is what I say, and they already know because they're in the maker Zoom, but I remind them all the time, like, you do you. You just do your style with that. Even if you don't think that die is your style, think to yourself, if I had to use it, like maybe it's Iron Chef or something, if I had to use it, how would I use it? Okay, and I think that really sparks a lot of curiosity within the makers, and they surprise me. So these cards, Jen created these. Jen, I love these. I love all the different makes. Again, starting with a clean and simple foundation, and then just doing all of these flowers. These flowers, I've been told, are done with distress watercolor pencil. Although I don't know how, and I can't wait to see, but they're so inky and fluidy inside here that it doesn't look like a pencil. But yeah, that's pretty cool, right? Where they really look watercolor, but I was told that it's pencil, and I love that little sparkle. There's a little rock candy on those hearts from Lovebirds. And then she went in with all of the ideology clippings and just created one little sentiment, right? Small contributions to all else in the world. Little things, daylight dreams. I dream of stars that glitter. The most beautiful thing. Now is the time all her dreams would come true. One today is worth two tomorrows. You just hold on. So if you're always struggling for sentiments, I highly recommend ideology clippings. That's a sticker book. That's where Paula's gone through vintage books and cuts out all of these great little quotes and words, but putting them together, as Jen did, you can see it makes really charming sentiments. So this, again, compartmental making at its finest, where you're starting with backgrounds, you're doing inky things, you're doing die cutting. It's just really great to see the versatility of the flowers. And again, the scale fits now on an A2 card because we were able to reduce the size of those flowers. Beautiful, beautiful. Absolutely love it. So much fun. All right, we're getting into some more spring. We've got the Vault Bunny and Chick. Cute stuff for Easter if you're already planning your Easter makes. Cute stuff. So Stacy created these two cute little chick cards. Look at those. Just using some inks. I mean, he is one of my favorites. He is. He's just funny. Kind of like Peeps.
Kind of.
Peeps with legs. Peeps with legs, but funny. I love just the colors, how Stacy just used little white cardstock, did some stitching detail, layer, added some ribbon, little pastel. This could be great for baby cards as well. It doesn't just have to be for Easter. But yeah, that little one is cute. And the fact that he's just that bigger size, you can see that he can hold his own on the card. The other ones, they're cute, small, but yeah, you kind of need a little bit more. But this one, because of that bigger size, and I love how she just kind of did a little freehand background with those little dots, but charming little card set. I love these, Stacy. They're just cute. They make me smile. Well, that little chick just makes me smile. Joy created this card. So here she just did a little baby card, took a bag, and again, this could be a gift card or something that you want to put into the bag. And then you can just cut them out of paper and pair that with an embossing folder. Just fun, right? You can do really whatever you want to do on your makes. You do you. That's it. You do you. I think it was like gifty. I think that this set really made a lot of makers think gifty stuff, which, hey, you know I'm all about the gifty stuff. I do. I love the gifty stuff. Kathy created these. So much fun. Where do you see all the detail? There's just a lot of stuff. Mario, am I doing okay? Because
You're doing great. I'm sorry.
That's all right. That's all right. I caught you. I'll do good. I want to make sure because I know I'm flying through because we've got a lot of makes, but I'm reading the chat, and I so appreciate you guys showing all your love to the makers because they really do an incredible job taking these designs and just giving so many cool ideas. I absolutely love them. So Kathy created this whole little gift series. This is a pillow box. So you can see on the new Vault pillow box, because it's a little bit bigger, it does allow these elements to fit. As I mentioned, they are designed to really work together. So you can see the bunny, the little chick, they're BFFs. They're good friends, right? Festy besties, as we say. You can see the little flowers on there, but take a look what she did on the back. How cute is that? Taking the little pennant, putting it on there with Happy Easter, stamping that. So cute. Very, very cute. And a little butterfly on there. I love this little detail where she added the string to the end. But a great idea for the pillow box. And then she created these. This is from the bag that's in that pillow box set. So she created two little gift bags. And the whole thing about the gift bags, right? You could put the bunny, see those glasses, they're hilarious. You can do the balloons. This would be from Celebrate that we did last year, or I love the idea of using the hearts as a balloon. But then when you flip it over, that's where she used that alphabet. Again, that new alphabet from Vault Hippity Hop. It's a perfect size. Did a little embossing, and then you can put in your gift cards. So this is how it fits a gift card. If you use it for a gift card, it will fit in widthwise, but it's a little bit shorter than a gift card, which is fine because you want the reveal of the card so the recipient can pull out the gift card. So just know that this bag is shorter than the other one, but I liked that because then the gift card will still stick out just to the arch of that. But wasn't that clever? Just to add those little elements there and then do the little sentiment on the back. Very cute. Bags and boxes for days. Bags and boxes with bunnies. So, so cute. Oh my gosh, these spring makes, like I'm ready. You know Easter candy.
You're not even close.
I know, but it's like Easter candy has got to be coming. Emma created this. So here again, we're working on another etc. panel. So we've got that nice foundation. I love the ideology clip that she added, but take a look at this great little scene. The fun thing to know about when it comes to working with the dies is that you don't have to use it in its entirety. If you remember the original bunny games, it came with the bunny and it had that little kind of bunny head that was peeking over the egg. I love how Emma used that same concept even with the same rabbit. She just removed the body, make it look like it's just peeking over. That's really cute. So she kept the head and that little arm, but then the rest of the body, I'll just say it's hidden behind that wood slice. Let's just say that. But really, it's very cute how she used both of them to peek out. I also love how she used a little flower in the center of that bow on that bunny peeking over. Here you can see that wreath. And this is what I was saying about using your shaping kit. Take a look at that wreath that Emma did. It's just layers and layers and layers of papers, die cut by using the shaping kit. That's that little stylus set that I do with Sizzix. You can really give these flowers some dimension. I love how she used the daisy that's from this set for the center of the flowers, some little pearls. There you can see there's a little egg there and just a little bit of that pennant flag. It's like a whole little party going everywhere. So you can cut that multiple times. Look at the little stitching detail she did with pen. You see that? See the little white stitching? So cute. And then Happy Easter, little tattered paper, some layers of ideology. There's some tack nails. I mean, you can take this to whatever level you want, or you can just hone in on one idea. And I do love using that wood slice die with the embossing as that center. Whether you have the bigs, whether you have the wood slice that we did last year for Valentine's Day, you can use that one as well. Great. Just fun. Yeah, makes me want jelly beans. Anyone else? Jelly beans, robin eggs. I think it got me started when I talked Peeps. Yeah, it's like robin eggs, all the Easter candy. This next make, Jan did this one too. It makes me think I want all that candy as well because it's just bring on the candy. Take a look at this make that Jan did. All right, so this is also an etc. tag, but how clever about taking that pillow box. So remember when I talked about that rectangle that you can cut a window? Well, you could use any die for a window. You can use, Paula said orange jelly beans. I know, Paula loves orange jelly beans or the orange slices. And I'm an everything jelly bean, even the black ones. I love that. That's probably my favorite. So I love how Jan created this pillow box with that little cutout. So any die shape that you have that would fit in there, be that a circle, a triangle, an egg, anything you can drop in there and create that window. So Jan took this tag, covered it in ideology paper, took the pillow box, made that little foundation, added some rosettes here, took the bunny and chick from Vault Bunny and Chick, created that little play scene. There's some little eggs, which I just got an email yesterday that Advantis did bring back the salvage rabbit and eggs, so those should be shipping soon. So it's excited to see how cute those eggs are with this new Vault Chick. I just love, look at the rosettes. So this is making a smaller rosette. There's another make that really shows a different comparison. The little bow, I love the bow tower, just kind of tweaked there. There again, there's that folder. See, I love how Keisha used it and so did Jan. But see how you can just take those pennants and kind of string them however you want. There's there's so many dies in here now that I look at it. Because there's the Vault Wildflowers, there's the Vault Bunny and Chick, the Vault Rosette, the Vault Box and Bag. Wow, so many. Isn't that great? All the little details. That's what I'm just kind of holding to the light. Just, oh, look on the top. That little chick and the eggs. So cute. Oh, see that little flower? That's why I had to bring that flower. It's a fun one. It's a great little daisy. So very, very cute cute Easter make. And there's some other Easter makes. They're just with other ones because I liked how they worked with other ones. So very, very cool. Okay, so going from that Easter make, and talking about pillow boxes, we're gonna go into to pillow boxes, right? Because I want to talk about that. There's a lot of pillow boxes, all right? But you know, when we get into the official pillow box, it's only right to start with Zoe's pillow box, because really Zoe is always championing the pillow box. She's like, I don't know what it is about it, because it's great. It's a very easy thing to actually create if you are a card maker, because you can make it flat. I mean, that's the thing. You can do everything you want to do flat, and then it does become something dimensional that you can fill with everything from gift cards to candy, whatever. Before I get into the ones that she actually used with this release, I thought it was really cool that she included this one, because the thing to be mindful of as we approach 2024 or a new year with new product, not just my product, but as we go through as makers, it's important to remember what's in the toy box. I know new is exciting, even new Vault is exciting, but don't forget the elements that you have, and whether you use the index, which is that free web-based inventory system on timholtz.com, thank you Neil and Zoe, or whether you use a journal or a book, keep track of what you have so you don't forget about it, because out of sight is often out of mind. Here Zoe took that pillow box, she used that wonderful moonlight die that we just did for Halloween. This is an old cityscape. Sure, this could be Halloween, this could be Gothic, this could be whatever, but even if your budget one die this year and you decide to go the pillow box bag route, doesn't mean you can't make it because you don't have all the other stuff. You can go into all the other dies and embellishments and create it, okay? So keep that in mind, but I love the whole Gotham City of this moon. But these two that Zoe created, I love how she incorporated stamps, how she incorporated, there's that card. That's the card label piece that goes into the bag, but she used it right on that pillow box because it does fit on the outside of the pillow box. She stamped on it. She used a little heart from Lovebirds. She did the rosette. She cut it down to size, because remember when I did the rosette, it was 3 3/4 inches. You can make all different sizes. I love how she added a little heart there, stamping all the way around, using the little seal from the rosette and another stamp. So getting out your stamps, your inks, that's where a simple shape can take on some great personality. I love the rosette here, and I love the star here. Look at that star. It's so fun because it's a dimensional star. When you make it, you can actually shape it onto whatever you're putting it on. So it can be flat, it can have a little contour. Really great. And I love how she used those little leaves, kind of like laurel leaves from the Wreath. And again, doing stamping from that field label, doing inking all the way around, doing your background papers. That's fun. So if you're sitting there, even if you have that creative block, you're like, I don't know what to do. Have some of these cut out. The same way you would have a stack of tags or card fronts. Cut out a bunch of panels for your pillow box, just pillow box panels, not assembled, flat. This way, when you're in there, you could ink them, you could stamp them, you can do all those things that you want to create. That to me is really important, because I think then when you need a quick gift, you have these ready. You just glue both sides together, pop it open, stick something in, and off you go. So just keep that in mind. They could be embellished. You can use wax seals. You can do so many things, but it's a really nice, substantial box that you can create out of paper using all your favorite things. So I was really happy to bring this back and just to see how people used them. They all just did such creative things. Creative things, this just made me laugh. Vicky created this one. Hilarious. She used the glasses, which I already know is a favorite for all of you guys, from the Vault Bunny and Chick, and must have cut them out a bazillion times to make her own background paper, starting out with wood grain. So we've got that wood grain, and I love you. Get it? With the I? That's funny. I know you get it, but you have to say that, right? I get it? I love that. So clever. What a clever use, and I love the little hearts on the end, so you got it on the little flaps. I love that she cut it out of the wood grain cardstock, but you could use an embossing folder. Wood grain's just a little bit more detailed, but really, how fun is that to make your own background paper? When we saw Rochelle do that with the flowers, you saw Kath do that on the box, but that's good. That's just funny. I love you. Who wouldn't want that? This would be cool just to make your own like eyeglass case. If this is a little longer, you can slide that in. Very, very clever. So yeah, that'll be one that you could just sit and cut eyeglasses for days, cut them out of all different things. Why not? Right? So Juliana created this one. I love how she created this layered butterfly. Again, you've got the detail piece, and then you've got that silhouette piece for all of your inking. There's the wreath, little stamping, but then the pillow box. In this one, I love how she incorporated a little mini book. So if you do any type of junk journals, little mini books, anything like that, it's a great way that you can still go in and stitch a little book together. You can do, I'm not sure if it's actually finished. Oh, it is. I'm going to open it. I see some die cuts on some paper, so let's see what happens. But take a look how she took that butterfly, wrapped it around the spine, stitched that together, did some stamping. Oh, look at that. What a charming little journal. Look at all that little stamping, die cuts, the little flowers with the labels. This is great, Juliana. Look at that. Again, you could do any kind of junk journaling, little mini book. I love the labels and the flowers. Incorporate the stamps. Look at that little book. Really cute. Great idea, especially if you're just doing maybe a little travel book where you give someone a little thing where they can, and you could use Ideology Photo Booth, anything, but this is a great little travel book where somebody could have their little travel snippets, and then you've got an entire book that fits inside this pillow box. That's really clever. I know it'll be tied up a little later, but yeah, really, really clever make, Juliana. So again, pillow box, not just for gifts and candy, but also for little books. Very, very cute make. Use your wings. Did you love that? Brilliant. Brilliant. All right, moving on. Take a look at these. Stacy created these. This is what I was saying about, you know, taking an idea and creating a whole shabby look. And this is where you can see that card being used as a window. You saw that Zoe used it glued on the outside. Stacy used it to cut out a window. When she's cutting in that window, you can have acetate over the front of it. So you can just, when you cut it, you cut the window, you glue the acetate on the inside before you assemble the box. But I love how Stacy did this whole little series. And again, this is what I was saying. Just make a bunch of them. Doesn't mean you're going to give somebody, you know, this whole 4-pack of gifts. Maybe you are, but this could be for a wedding shower, a bridal shower. It could be for different parties, or you just have them at the ready. If you sit down and you make boxes, because some people think like, oh, I don't like to give gift cards. Listen, maybe I'm only speaking for myself. I love a gift card.
I love a gift card.
I love a good gift card. I love to just shop for myself. And some people go, oh, but it's so insincere. Okay, if that's your thought, put it in something that is personally handmade. It's a win-win. But the great thing about this is that you can have them at the ready, and you can have the little windows in there. So maybe you're going to fill them with candy or treats because you're doing a little party. And look at the little flowers where she used from the Wildflowers. And then there's that the little label. That's why it was important to have those other elements, to not just do the box and the bag, but have the window that you can cut or the card that fits in the bag, have the labels. It all works together. It always does. But you don't have to do the window because maybe you are just going to do a gift card, but you can do the same elements. Add those little flowers. See how delicate they are? They're so nice. A little bit of mummy cloth, a little stamping. I love the addition of the button, a little inky background. Just beautiful. This is torn strips of fabric. Just fun. So you can see pillow box, it's an important one. It's because it is. It's like, it's the gift that keeps on giving. I don't have time for this. I got a pillow box. Be right back. And there you go.
Be right back.
Be right back. Right? Because then you got a pillow box. You stop on the way there. There you go. That's right. All right. So take a look at these. Anita created these. These are just, they're so cool. I love, again, what people did with a pillow box. So here, look at these steampunk Valentines. I'll open them because these Valentines come out. But I love how she incorporated that little element. Again, put in that clear window by dropping that card into the die. When you cut it, it cuts the window. But then when you open these, there's a little dimensional steampunk Valentine. Look at that. Taking the 3D folders, cutting them out of metallic. I love how she used the Lovebird and did that all steampunk using the gear embossing folder. Look at the hearts look at the little Ideology tiny fasteners, and then the faceted heart. Ooh, out of metallic. It's so cool because that metallic really shows, you know, the bruising you get, but in this case, it gives it a whole futuristic look. I absolutely love that. So she's got in my heart. So a little steampunk, and then look at the metallic paper on the inside. Oh, I just figured it out. Well done, Captain Obvious. Okay, this, no, yeah, I don't know. I think I have it. This is Ideology metallic craft stock. So the box is cut, And that's why the inside is metallic, but the outside is craft. That's very cool. But then she cut another piece. See right here? This is a second layer that she glued onto the back, like inverted it. So you've got your metallic on the inside, your craft on the outside, because that's the craft stock. And then she just did another panel that she embossed, because that's why the whole thing isn't embossed. That is really complex, Anita. Very cool. I love the Ideology metallic in there. What a great way to line it, because yeah, then when you take out your Valentine, it's super shiny. But I love how that pillow box is big enough that the faceted heart, I'm sure the star fits in as well. All right, I got to open this one now too. Oh, so cool. Look at that. She's got love on there, a little gear around that heart. There's that panel back there. Look at this one. Look at that bird sitting on top of the heart. How cool. Heart and soul. My gosh. You know, my industrial grunge loving heart for hearts and birds and panels. Ooh. Metallic cardstock for the win. That is very cool. And this is what I also love about the Ideology metallic craft stock, is that it does have that craft foundation. It's not foil. So when you fold it and do all of your cut, it doesn't get all that wrinkly and cracked, broken look, but it's beautiful with distress paint, because it's designed to really work seamlessly with distress. Love it. Those are cool, Anita. Cool steampunk Valentines. Yep. Adore and love. Wow. In a pillow box. In a pillow box. All right. You better brace yourself for these next pillow box ones too, because Debbie Adams just worked with Debbie Sizzix when I first started, and she was making for them. She doesn't work for Sizzix anymore. But yeah, she just has a way with dies, and I'm always grateful that she still makes time to make for lives. So here, Debbie created a pillow box door hanger. I think that's really clever, to take a pillow box and then just add it to a strip of paper, have that little cut. So there's that little seal from the Rosette. That could be a door hanger, but there you go. She put in some candy, some hot tamales. I love how she took the wreath. So there's our little window. So you can see that window panel again is from the card die. But then she cut out little hearts from the Lovebirds, just has them hanging from little thread. There is the wreath, the bow, but the wreath is done out of just gold and white, because the whole foundation is white. A little bit of metallic trim, and then you've got candy and a little bit of stamping, a little sentiment with all my heart. But this is a great Valentine gift, whether you're doing it as a door hanger or not, or as a favor. I just think that it's a really important thing to see how this could be used, be that gift cards or, of course, candy, which I love. It's coming up on Hot Heart season for C's, so anyone that knows me knows that that's my most favorite candy. Literally buy it for the year. I'm not lying. I buy enough bags to get me through the entire year. Paula knows, Jay knows, Sharon knows. Sharon loves them too. Anyway, enough about candy. Beautiful, beautiful make, Debbie. And then take a look at this one too. All right. I hope I can do this one justice, because I had to look at it. Paula had to send me notes on it. So Debbie created this birdhouse also out of a pillow box, also out of the wreath die, also out of the True Love bird die, also out of the Rosette die. That's the roof. What? The what? Yes. So this is the pillow box. So she used the wood grain embossing to give it that whole wood look. She's got little eggs in there, little speckled eggs. Those are little robin eggs for Easter. I love how she did her little inking of the bird. Then we've got the little wreath. She even has a little stick coming out right there, the little perch, some flowers. There's the seal from the Rosette as the cutout for the opening of the birdhouse. But yes, you can see that's the whole pillow box, because there's candy in there. But then she took the Rosette, cut it, but instead of doing the fan fold, she just did an additional, she just went in and scored it herself, and then folded down that scalloped edge and cut two of them just to make that little roof, and then just hand cut a little triangle for the back. How cool is that? That's really, really clever. I think that's a really great way to not only have a little scallop roof, but also I think those score lines in the Rosette really adds a nice element, don't you think? Very, very clever. Freaking cool out of a pillow box. I told you. If you decide, I don't need that box, because let's face it, the packaging is a bit ho-hum. I mean, I will say that when it comes to packaging for dies, I try to stay as basic as possible. And the reason I do that, and I know that that's not the Sizzix way, but that's always been the Tim way for 15 years. I think the package, I just want you to identify the shape. And I understand that sometimes you don't really appreciate the shape, but that's why I do live. So to me, it's kind of a win-win. But when you can see just a plain shape and then the live connects the inspiration behind it, that's just, it's very cool. So great job, honestly, for all those makers doing so many cool things with a pillow box, right? So good. Okay, with a pillow box. All right. Then we're going to get into our last one, which is the rosettes. And there's a lot of stuff to do with rosettes and so many cool things that we can create with them. All right. So we'll start with this one. This is the one I've been talking about that Zoe Hillman made. I love how she created this with the rosettes because this really shows how the rosette could be used in many different sizes with the one die. As I mentioned, the die itself is a section. It has these deboss crease lines. So if you cut it from top to bottom, in other words, from not its length, but if you cut its width and you make it shorter, it will make smaller rosettes. So when you use a full size, it can create a large rosette. And that again is gluing multiple pieces together, multiple strips lengthwise. But when you start cutting the width, you get smaller rosettes, even down to the pillow box that she made. It's all done with the same die. It just, as a maker, you can cut it and it won't fall apart. I love how she just took this rosette, did different inking treatments, did some stamping on the inside. So maybe you want to use the center, maybe you want to use the hearts, maybe you want to use the star that comes with it or the seal. But what a cool art piece just to put on there. This is one of the frame panels. It could be an etc. It could be a dollar store frame. I love the vintage snaps that she has on there, some crackle paste. But what a great piece, just an art piece just using rosettes. And this could be done vintage every day, but this could also be done seasonal. Maybe you want to make a gift for someone for a seasonal, so you can maybe do their favorite colors, or maybe you're going to use floral papers for the background. Sky's the limit, really. But that's what's great about this one new Vault rosette die, is that it can make different size rosettes with the single die just from cutting it. Very, very cool. Yeah, no, I love that detail. It's always the little things. It's the little things, the little details. That's what it is. All right. Now, rosettes could be used on cards. So I don't want you to think that, oh, you know, I'm not going to use rosettes because I'm not going to make party favors and all that, which they make great party favors. They're perfect for cards. So Barbara created this one. Again, I love that woven background, but look at this rainbow wheel. How fun is that? Whether you're taking different colors of cardstock and doing different sections of it, or whether you're inking it, I just thought it was a really fun way to create a birthday card using the Vault bunny, his glasses. I love his little dapper bow tie, and I just love all of those colors going around that rosette. Just, again, utilizing your inks. You can do watercolor, you can do paint, you can do cardstock, whatever you fancy. I just think that's cool. It's just a fun, I love that we can make a big rosette. That to me is the best. And it could get bigger, right? I mean, I only use 3 sections. If you use more, you can actually make it bigger, and I'll talk about that by demo. Just really, really cool. So amazing. So amazing. Oh. Now, when it comes to working with rosettes, I thought this was really clever as well. I'm going to bring this in because it actually has, you know, there's sections of makes that sometimes when a maker makes, I have to just be like, okay, stop. I set it aside. I set it more. I'm like, I got to hold this here, because I think there are certain makers that just go all out because they just kind of get caught up in the moment. And Louisa is one of them. And I love how she always, when she makes, she just kind of sky's the limit. So here Louisa made these series of cards using a rosette, and I would have to say I've never seen this done before. Not saying it hasn't been, I just haven't seen it. I thought it was very clever to not complete the rosette. It was just cool. It was a very cool way to take a rosette and not finish it. And it gave her this landing spot, if you will, to add some vintage buttons. And she did that in this whole card series. And sometimes it ended on the top, sometimes on the side or the bottom. I just thought that was a really great background for a card, right? To take this and utilize your dimensional elements, because the rosette is already going to be dimension, right? So you've already added dimension to your cards. So the buttons really don't add more. It just kind of fills in that little space. But really cool way to incorporate, again, grungy palette. So you had me at brown, no doubt, and little bits of blues and blacks. But I love the idea of, you can see in the back here, these are some flower elements. There's the twig, there's the bird, there's the seal, but just that partial rosette for each one. So over here, again, you can see the Vault Wildflowers just kind of sticking up, but just that where it just stops. It's like, man, very, very clever. I think that that's where an idea is like, I'm totally gonna run with that idea. I love that. And I think it's great to always celebrate when you see it for the first time. You know, I always say in the creative world, you know, taking ownership for something, it's a slippery slope. You can just say, I saw it from this person for the first time, right? Because it doesn't mean that it never existed before, and it doesn't mean someone was the inventor of it. I think it is about keeping the creative industry thriving and growing. And I love that idea. So Louisa, thank you. And with that, I had to put her other make to the side because although it goes back to the wreath and the bunny and the chicks, it still incorporates a lot of other elements. So I kind of wanted to do her makes back to back, because you can see that for the chicken, bunny, and wreath, she still went in and created a box full of cards that also incorporate elements from the Rosette die set. So here she created this box, this wood card holder box. We've got the bunny, the chick, the wreath. You can see the alphabet that she glued multiple layers to create these little letters from the hop. But inside also has a set of cards, a whole set of cards using these characters. Hold on, I can get them out. All right, it's got a little magnet on there. There we go. Oh, did I do it right? Kinda. You know me. You know how I am with magnets. Okay, so the cards are just really a lot of fun. Again, repetition, just taking all of those elements. So here, these could be the leftovers. So here, that is just the knockout, if you will, of cutting out the flowers that you could use on another card. But I love how like the chick is on his head, and just the sentiment she mixed together, the ideology quote chips, take risks together. I love there is talking about the Rosette, that star, choose to shine every day. So mixing up things that you wouldn't think go together, that's the importance of the vault, is knowing they all do. They really do. The moon with the wreath, with the rabbit, with the chick, and then use your wings to the moon and back. So utilizing the butterfly wings, this is from Scribbly Butterfly, but just using half of it. It is all about taking those dies and putting them together. There is the faceted heart from the Rosette, but also always in my heart, using it with the chick, the heart from the Lovebirds, the flowers from Wildflower, and some of the flowers from the wreath as well. I just love that. So many details, but really creating this. And this is what I was saying, like sometimes a maker will just start making with something and then kind of the series evolves, if you will. And I think that that's something you should never apologize for. If you're a maker that you love making a specific thing, or you start with a project and you just get inspired to keep going and going, do it. Don't hold yourself back, even if it's just an embellishment that inspires you because you want to put, you know, ultra thick on it, or glossy accents, or anything, and you start making embellishments to put on. It goes and goes. You'll get the point. I just think it's pretty impressive. All right. So when it comes to rosettes, because you have the ability to size and scale, Stacy did this. It's a very charming little piece that even if you're not a card maker or a junk journaler, or you just like to dabble in making things, take a look at elements from the everyday, like a little spool. Wrap it with some thread, or in this case, some lace that Stacy did. And I love how she just incorporated the bird. There's a little bit of embossing over the top of it, and there's a tiny rosette, because by cutting it down, you can still make that smaller rosette to really mimic or match what you're making. And so this just stands up. So you could do a whole little series of this. Again, this could be for a table setting, maybe a garden party, for a wedding. And I just love the little elements that Stacy always puts in, that little bit of metallic stuff. We still don't know what this is, but I love it. It's kind of like from a little cooking sponge. I love the little nest in the egg. It's just shabby little details. But then when I see how makers just kind of, they create things that are similar but totally different. So Kathy created this one, but still it was about like the birds and the rosette. And so Kathy created this. This was an ideology vignette shrine. These have been retired, the house shape, but you could still do it with a box. But I love how she added the metallic in there. She also used the rosette as a roof, but in a different way than Debbie did. So instead of just folding it down, I love how she went in and folded the rosette as if you were making it. She did it out of wood grain, but then cut it and started layering it. So all of these are just layers of rosette. It's like popsicle sticks, isn't it? But I love how she still included that little fold in there, did some either embossing, maybe this is a little foundry wax on those elements just to kind of gild the little edges of it. There is that heart she put right on the top, But then look inside. I'll tip it this way so the light goes in. Look at all these different rosettes. She's got rosettes coming out from the corner, one coming in from the side, the full rosette here. She's got the birds flipped and looking at each other. So when you're die cutting this, you could flip one over. You just get a different bevel to the paper. But so beautiful just to take this and adding all those little metallic details, and then always and forever, and some flowers in there. Isn't that great? Just again thinking, it's interesting how many makers thought like rosettes, birds, right? So clever and so cool. And I just think that having two makers do rooftops using the rosette in two different ways, it's so wild. Then we have this wild make, brilliant make. So Debbie Adams created this, and again, I have this in there because you're kind of thinking birds. I'm going to tip it, but all these little Tic Tac eggs are going to come out. So I'm just going to put them in my hand already, just so you can see. Those are little Tic Tacs. I thought that was clever. She used those as an egg. But take a look at what Debbie created with the rosette. She did a little spring basket. So that is making a rosette as the base, and then making a rosette, but instead of laying it flat, keeping it cupped up and glue it on the base. So that's just it's the same rosette. Instead of it being flat, it just kind of creates a little cup. And then I love how she took, there we go. I love how she took the wreath and the little bow and the flowers to create that handle. But isn't that a charming make? A little spring basket. That is very clever. I've not seen that done with a rosette either. Very clever to do, again, for Easter. You know, yes, you can do it garden in spring, but you could also have like one of the bunnies popping out of it if you want to make some other little things. You can wrap this in cellophane if you want to create little baskets, but that's very clever with the rosette die because it's big and it's creased and it doesn't have the perforations. It really allows for this type of flexibility to add, and I just thought that's really, really brilliant. Brilliant ways for makers to incorporate that rosette die. Am I right? Just like, wow. It's just wow. Little Tic Tacs. No one's going to eat those. I know they're on my hands. But they're cute little eggs. Cute little color, huh? So very, very cute. All right, we got one make to finish up. I had it sitting over here just because, well, you know, end it with a splash of color, right? End with a splash of color. So Sharon created this. Now, this is something that I think is a great way to wrap up this Vault 1 release, but also just to remind you that as a maker, you can take something that you like, you can take the colors that you like, and you do you, which is exactly what Sharon did. She took this canvas, it's just a wrapped canvas board, and she just went to town making hearts. It is the perfect size, I will say, this faceted heart that comes with the rosette die, because it's not as big as the big one, it's not tiny like the little super tiny one, it's just that kind of in between. And I love how she did her inking and painting in the background, used it through some stencils just to add some little words, little Valentine words as heart and X and O's, a Stampers Anonymous stencil that I did. But take a look at all of these little hearts that she did in these colors. There's glaze. I don't know if it's resist spray or ultra thick. I'm not sure, but there's some little bits of shine all over those hearts. And that also gives them a little bit of a little rigidity. When you make the heart, it's actually a solid piece. But how great is that? And just to hang that in your creative space, in your studio. Look, if you need a good jump start to make for the year, make something for yourself. How about that? Make something for yourself by making it and creating that. I think that's really, really cool. What you're pointing out, Mario? Where's it? Oh, okay. Were you pointing out something? No. Okay. So make something for yourself, because that's going to give you the incentive that if you're looking at it, you're like, yeah, I need to create that. I need to do that. I think that's really important. So I think that's great. And yes, there are 14 hearts for Valentine's Day, February 14th. All in the details, Sharon. Beautiful. Isn't that a fun make? Very cool. So amazing makes from the makers, that's for sure. And so I thought, because we have a little bit of time, that I'm just going to go ahead and just do a little demo on a couple things, if that's all right, and then we'll wrap this up. So let me bring this into frame. There we go. Just to talk about a couple things and hopefully answer some questions. I think the makers just did absolutely amazing, really amazing things. Okay, so I just wanted to do a quick demo on just some assembly things, because I think that's important that when I talk about that, it's easy to do, that you really appreciate that it's easy. This isn't the only way to assemble any of this stuff. It's just giving you just some ideas of how I created this, okay? So as I mentioned on the pillow box and the bag, the original ones, they had two pieces already the same. For the Vault series, if you're gonna make the box or the bag, you have to cut out you have to cut out two of the same shape to build it, okay? Two exactly the same way. That's going to be really, really important. Oh, that was nice. Zoe said, thanks, Mario, for sharing all the links during live. So thanks for linking the makers.
Sure.
You can go to timholtz.com. Following the live, there'll be a blog post. All the makes will be there. And as they post about them, Zoe goes in and links to the makers. So I encourage you to go to timholtz.com following the live and check out the maker page as well. So you can cut out different papers depending on what you want your structure to be. Okay. For example, if you're doing a box, I like to cut something heavy for a pillow box. This is Distress Craft Heavy Stock. It's 130-pound craft because it's heavy. So if I'm doing a pillow box, I like to use cardstock for that. The bag, you can use paper. You can use regular pattern paper, backdrop, scrapbook paper, anything like that. I personally like to just go in and use paper bags. So you can just take lunch bags and die cut through those. We just have a roll of brown paper that Mario uses for shipping, and I die cut out of that. Because that paper is so thin, you can see the light comes through it. It's like I cut two at a time. So I just take, like if it's a lunch bag and it's already folded, I'll just lay the die on there and run the bag through, and then I get two pieces. But on the shipping paper, I just rip it, put two together, and then cut out two. So that's what I'm using for this one. That's why this is much thinner. Could you use regular cardstock? Yes. Could you have a rigid bag? Yes. But I just think that brown paper bags are thin. So again, you do what works. As far as adhesive, you can use liquid adhesive. You can use glossy accents. You can use hot glue. Sometimes you can use score tape. Use whatever you're comfortable using. That's what I have to say about that. And anytime something is folded or scored, you want a couple of tools that I find makes the job easier. One, find yourself something with a straight edge, not a rounded edge, but a nice straight crease edge. I use my grid blocks. This is going to allow me to fold against something. You could use a ruler for that, but it does make a huge difference. Some people use the edge of their table, but I like to use a block that has a nice sharp edge, not something rounded, because that's not going to do well with your creasing. And some type of folder. It could be a Teflon folder. It could be a bone folder, a plastic folder, metal. I prefer Teflon because it lasts longer and it doesn't give you any shine on your paper. Some of those plastic ones, if you do a lot of creasing, you get a little bit of a sheen. But again, use what you have, use what works. So let's start with the pillow box. Super easy. It's got some really basic fold lines. These are the only ones that are a little weird. You could use something circular, but you don't really need to. So here's what we're going to do first. We've cut out two pieces, and you can see that it's got these score lines. So I'm just going to take that straight edge, so if that's a block, and just lay it parallel to that fold, and just gives me something to push against. Do you see that? That's all I'm doing. Is I'm sliding it across. See, it's coming out on this side, and that just gives me something to push against from the beginning. And once I know that I followed that line completely, it didn't go off the road, then you can just go in and use your fingers and then take your bone folder and just give it a score. Okay, just like that. So again, I'm placing this edge down so it lines up. There you go. Can you see it right there? And you'll kind of feel it in the back, and you're just gently pushing against it. You're not going crazy at this point. You want the paper to follow the guide. And once you start, it follows the track. So even though I can't see the block, you might say, oh, get a bigger block. You could do a ruler, but you don't need to. It'll follow the track. Once you know it's there, fold it down and give that a nice crease to that. This one, you could go in and do something round. I just find that if I put two fingers in the back and just kind of put four fingers in the front, think of it like a little smiley face. It just smiles at you. Did you see that? It's already done. That's it. It just smiles. So support in the back, support in the front, and smile. Here we go. Back, front, everyone, smile. Okay, one more time. Mario, front, back, and smile. There you go. So it just does that. So I don't need to go in and, because these are going to be flaps that only fold halfway. So I'm not going to go in with a bone folder on these. Okay, that's it. Just really simple, because I think you don't need it to fold like this. This one does need to come to pretty much a point. This one is just going to go halfway when the box closes. All right. So once we have that done, that's all you got to do from the scoring. We're just going to stick these together. So again, you can use whatever adhesive. I'm just going to go in with some double stick tape, some score tape. If you have a media mat, work on your non-stick side for this. It just makes life so much easier. I'm going to put my tape closer to the fold, right? Because you can see that this tab is wider than the tape. I want my edge to be right up to this fold so I don't have any pucker in the seam, okay? The reason I use the non-stick sheet is because I can, is that showing up on camera? Yeah, it does. I can start off the edge. I can go all the way across, make sure that I've followed that edge, and then I can give it a little tear, right? Then I can just push this down, lift it off because it's non-stick, okay? And we'll do the same thing on this one, just kind of getting everything ready. So again, I'm starting against that edge, off the edge, go here. And you can just look to this edge too, just to make sure that it's kind of the same, and then just pop that off. Okay, so once you're done with that, assembly pretty easy. I go in with a pick because I find that easier to pull up the tape. You can do whatever you want with this tape. All I do is I fold it back on itself. You could go in and cut it, but I don't know why. I mean, you can, but you don't need to. This particular tape is really thin, almost skin-like, so that's what I do. But if you feel better going in and trimming it, go for it. You know, you can do that. But if you're using glue, that's obviously going to be easier because you don't have to worry about anything going over. You just have to wait for it to dry. So whatever's going to work for you. Hot glue is also really fast. Okay, so once I have that folded, it's pretty simple. So we've got all of our tabs. Both of these have sticky. One's going to go on one, one's going to go on the other. So for this one, I'm just going to line it up. And again, you could put it on your glass now that there's no sticky. And I'm just lining up kind of corner to corner, if you will. And just kind of place that down. Good. Okay, see, there's our flap. I haven't really done anything permanent yet, because if I need to adjust, I can. Then I'm just going to fold this one in and close the other side. So if I start at the top, I can make sure that I've got that corner going in, and then it's always like I feel better trimming it. And then you can just push this little box in, like see I'm kind of resting with my finger as it goes down, and there we go. Now that it's done, it should be flat, right? And then these pieces, now it's just going to pop open. That's it. That's it. You're done. So if you were doing your stamping and all that, you would have done that before, right? You would have done your stamping, inking. You could have done it before you die cut or after. I tend to, it doesn't really matter. It just depends on how particular you want to be. And then both of these tabs are the same. So to close it, you just kind of open it up, pop that one in, and that one just kind of, it just pops in there, just like that. So it doesn't really matter which side goes in. That's just your pillow box. So usually what you would do is that if you were closing this, you would have like, I'll just say the finished side. I'll show you what I mean. The finished side is usually the top and the gappy side is the back because see, it doesn't really lay. But if you were tying this with ribbon, it would be more finished, but easy, right? Couldn't be any easier than that. And then the little tabs just allow you to go in and just kind of grab with your finger. And that's why there's a notch there, because you got to get your finger in there to pop in that open one. Couldn't be easier. All right, bag, same. But this one's a little weird because you're like, what? Do we fold all the creases? Not necessarily on this one, okay? So this bag is going to go together, but not like the pillow box, meaning if you did matchy-matchy, then you don't have a bottom, okay? So this one is actually going to get flipped around. It's going to go this way. It's kind of weird, okay? I'll show you what I mean. So really, essentially what's going to happen is this will become the back of this and this will become the bottom of this. You'll see what I mean in just a second. I have to figure it out in my head. Okay, that's going to go in. So it depends on what you want as the outside of your bag. All right, so if you're having pattern paper, you want to make sure that you have the outside and you have one tab that's going to fold in. Uh-oh, I just shoved my block right under my mat. Air hockey. I did. Let me straighten out. I did. I hit it. It was like, whoo, it's like an air hockey puck. Okay. So this, I'm just going to fold. This one is a little weird. I will say that maybe the first time you make it, you might have a pancake, meaning you might make it. It may not look too good. Just try it again. So I've folded that one. Going to give it a little crease. Okay. And what this is this is going to be like the back of the bag with that little top part. You know, in a gift bag where it's got that little arch on the back? Okay. This one, I need to make sure that my tab is going to be on the opposite side. So see how this tab is here? That's why I fold one first. It's going to be on the opposite side. So I'm going to fold that against there. And so your tabs both go to the back the same way. So that one's going to get folded. You'll see in a second. And then on this one gets folded. If you happen to fold all of them, don't freak your freak, because you can fold all of them. I'll show you what I mean in a second. Okay, let me just score that. There we go. So this is really our bag. Same thing, I'm going to do some score tape. I'm going to go a little bit skinnier. If you are going to use glue to do these, I will advise just be gentle on the glue, because if you over glue, let's say you put some glue down and you push it down and the glue goes into the bag, now you have like a little hot pocket. It's sealed up. It's like a seal a meal. It's not going to be a bag anymore. So, well, you know what I mean. So just make sure that when you're doing this, that's why I like to use tape, because glue ooze, you don't really see what you can't see. So this one, same thing. I'm always going to put it next to the fold. You don't have to be too particular edge to edge on this one because of this little bag. So this one, I will place it down, and I'm going to place my finger right on the edge of that tape and tear it towards my finger. So you can see on this one, I did keep my adhesive inside the strip, which I'm sure that probably makes Zoe feel better too. So this one, I don't want my bag to be stuck, especially if you're going to use it for a gift card, because then it won't really fit. So I do, yeah, there we go. That sounds good. All right, place that down. Again, use my finger. I'm trying to put it in camera. And then I just tear against it. There we go. So see, it's on the inside of the tabs. And then on this one's a little weird. You could put it on the inside of the bag. I'll show you this. When you're building this bag, this is totally up to you. If you want a finished bag, you can fold this and you can have all your tabs on the inside. That's fine. But that's really not how it's designed. It's really designed that we're going to stick these together, and then this tab goes around the back like a gift bag. You know, on the gift bag, it always has that exposed seam. So that's really how it was designed. But you do you. If you try to stick that inside, I find it really challenging to build the bag. So just so you know kind of what I'm planning to do on this one. So this, a little bit of tape. There we go. Okay, so far so good. Here we go. Let's build a bag. I'm just going to peel this off. Now this paper it's a lot thinner, so you know you have to just be a little mindful of that. It's not as rigid as regular cardstock, but that's okay. It might be if you're making one out of cardstock. So I just kind of hold one down with my finger just so the tab is as flat as possible. I'll lay the bag on the end. If I need to adjust, see, you can just peel it off. Don't freak your freak. And I just want to make sure that it's going to reach the bottom. Okay, so then get your finger out of the way, place the bag down. There we go. So there's our first seam, edge to edge. Then we're going to do the other one. This is why I use a craft pick, because my finger and pulling off release paper, I don't know what it is. It's like, it doesn't work. So if you try to put it down like this, see how that tab wants to stick up? This is where you get like these little puckers in the paper. That's why it is important to you can use your finger or you can use a folder, just something to try to hold that flap down the best you can while you're doing the bag. Because again, you just want to close it all up. There we go. That's good. Pull that down. That's good. Push that. Okay, done. Our bag is open. And then this back piece, we're just going to remove this and we're going to fold this up around the back. Oop. Here we go. I'm going to hold that down just so I don't get that little pucker. There it is.
Man, look
Yeah.
at that.
And then you have a little gift bag. You have a little bag with that top thing. Now, the nice thing, because there is a crease line because of this bottom one, right? But if you want, let's say you're making something, you may still want to like fold this down and put a little tiny clip on there if you want. But that's, you don't see the crease line because see how this pinked edge, it actually covers that crease line in your bag. So there's your bag in the box. It's fun, huh?
Yeah.
Pretty easy. Pretty easy. Okay, moving on. We go from the easy ones, just kind of warm you up, and then we get there. Okay. let's talk about this one. These are actually, they're easier than you think, but when you first do them, you can freak out a little bit because there's a lot of score lines, but they're easier than you think. Okay. What I love about these is that it can change the whole look of things. Okay. I'm going to show you, this is the heart and the star that are in the Vault Rosette. This is the heart from the retired faceted heart die that I've used. I've shown these in previous lives because your paper choice for these can completely change the dynamic of it. All right. So for example, this is the wood grain cardstock that I was talking about. Vicky used it. Many makers use this wood grain on there. This is distressed wood grain. It comes white. You can ink it. You can do all sorts of things to it and die cut it. This was seasonal, not last year, but the year before. It still might be available in some stores, but it came out in a gray two-tone and a black, but it's been discontinued. It won't be coming back. But I really love this black because it already has a color debossed. But you can see that by using wood grain with the heart, I mean, how cool is that? This one could look like, you know, some lacquer wood, or this could just look like vintage barnwood, and you can put flowers around it. You can cut this piece out with a craft knife and have flowers coming out of it. And there's a lot of things you can do just by changing the paper. Okay, so that's what's really cool of having a totally different size for both the star and the heart in the vault. So here's how this one works. This will be important. This will be important. And for this one, liquid glue important. Okay, so first we're going to start with the star. And again, I'm only showing you my way. I'm not showing you the right way. Okay, just because I did it this way doesn't make it right. It's just how I do it. I like to start with the tabs. That's going to be these little tiny things. So there again, I'm using my block and I'm just pushing against it. And then once I push, I give it a pinch. So it's like a push and a pinch. And then it opens up again. So again, I'm turning it to where it like lines up, push, and then pinch. I don't use the bone folder at this point because I just want to keep it on the block, because this is something, honestly, once you get it down, you can do this and watch TV at the same time. You don't even have to pay attention to what you're doing, which seems like, how is that possible? It is. Because you're just like folding and flipping, folding and flipping. There we go. Push, pinch. All right. So at this point, all those little tiny tabs are folded, believe it or not. See, they're there. Then when you look at the star, don't think of it as all these little pieces. Only think of these as vertical folds. So when I put the inside to the outside, it is one straight line, or horizontal, sorry. Depends on how I'm holding it. One horizontal line. So now I'm just going to push the star down and give it a little pinch. Then I turn, horizontal line. That's it. And it's going all the way across from point to inside. So it kind of alternates. So the point will be on that side, the point will be on this side. And all we're doing is just spinning it. It's just easy. Give it just a little pinch. Move it, horizontal line, push, pinch, horizontal line, push, pinch. That's it. And now you've done it. You've already folded all those pieces. Now you can just place it down, take your bone folder if you need to. And you don't have to be as particular because this is actually going to create a little bit of a zigzag. But I do like to just go in and just make sure that my folds are a little cleaner. And that's why I think a Teflon folder it's just nicer on the paper. Okay, so here's your star. And what's cool about this are these tabs are designed that when you fold them under, this is what's going to glue to your project. Not much, but if you don't want to use these, you can put a big blob of like hot glue and still stick it down, but you can also glue these back to back. So if you make two of these and you flip them over, the tab of the other one will actually end up on this side. It will be the opposite. So you can make two and glue them back to back, and your tabs will end up on opposite sides so you can make an ornament. But here's how this works. I'll do it flat and then I'll try to do it in midair. Right now it looks like a weird chunky star, okay? All you want to do, because you have all of your folds, is your points come up and your V's go down. So when you just take it and you like pinch, 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 there is your dimensional star.
Oh, it was right in front of my eyes. Look at that.
Cool, right? So it starts out
Damn.
like a chunky star,
You're good.
but when you just go in and that's why I do both sides. So you just like pinch, 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 then it's a dimensional star. And you can push this and make it as dimensional as you want it to be. And the tabs, of course, are underneath. So that's it. Simple. So you can glue it however you want. You can glue those little tabs, but really I know a lot of makers that like glue a little wood piece, like Paula might even use a bingo piece, you know, glue a little wood piece and then glue the wood piece to the center, and you're actually gluing it in the middle. This way it won't collapse on your make. So you could glue it a lot of different ways. It's it's easy. It's just, but when you take each fold and you're like, I got to create the little fold, oh my gosh, this star would take you an hour. But if you just fold it across, it doesn't matter that you're folding it this way, but this is going up and this is going down. See, ultimately when you make it, it is only half up, half down, but who cares? Not when you're folding it. Paper has no memory. Paper has no memory. It only knows what you just told it to do the last second. So there we go, on to the heart.
That was so fun.
Thanks. All right, on to the heart. Now this, don't freak out, but let me tell you this. If you are making a heart and it matters what's on the front, okay? Maybe you're doing something out of a floral paper or whatever. First thing you have to remember about this heart is that this big piece is not the front of the heart. Many people, when they go to use this die, let me just grab the die real quick. Do I have my die open? It's over there.
Here.
Yeah. Thanks.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. All right, here we go. I have my dies already open and in my folders and all that. Okay, see the die? This is why it's deceiving. I've learned just from many years of making a heart. Because you see the heart in here, you're like, oh, this is the front of it. So when I put it on my pretty paper, I'm going to make sure that like the little flower or whatever I want is here. Nope, that's the back. So what you have in that window, you will not see. It's really what's in these two little triangles. And so maybe if you want, if it's going to take you a bit to kind of get used to it, put a little mark here with a Sharpie, right? Like draw a little red or a little black to remind you that, hey, this is really the front. This little face, this little smiley face, here's looking at you, that is the front. That's the back. Just if it matters. And that really is only if you're doing pattern paper. If you're doing red or whatever, now I'm going to see all the people that admit that they did it just like me. Oh, Zoe, yeah, I know. Because you're like, oh, and then you build it and you're like, oh my gosh, I totally forgot. Okay, so same rules apply. I just kind of start with the smaller little tabs. I'm going to work, instead of my block being long ways, I'm going to do short because these are much shorter folds, but again, you do whatever. This is what I love about grid blocks. So again, I'm going to fold, pinch. And some of these are a little tricky. I'll show you what I mean. Some of them are kind of hidden, but it goes super fast. Just don't even think about it. Just find the next fold, fold and open. Find the next one, fold and open. And work from the outside in. Don't work from left to right. Just work what feels right, which is just kind of going around. So now I did the outside ones. Now I got to do these two inside ones. These are the tricky ones. That little triangle and that one. So all you have to do is just find the line, put it up to the block, stick your finger in there and fold it over. Gosh, doing it through my phone. If I can do it through my phone, you can just do it looking at the paper. Take it off, give it a pinch, so there's that. Then we just go right up to the next one, fold that, take it off, use your fingers just to do the fold, go up to the next one. So see how like when I look at these pieces, I always look at my lines as like horizontal lines because then you don't have to figure it out. So it's like, okay, I got all those. I know I still have all these. That's okay. Then I just find the next stack. It's like, okay, I'll do this one. This one and this one are not the same line. See how different they are? So don't treat them as the same. They're not. So like, don't think that whole star trick and be like, ooh, I got this. This one is close, pretty darn close, but it's not close to that fold. So see, that's not the same line, right? Okay, we got it, we got it. Okay, I got two more. It's really easy. And that's why I don't know if I've even demoed how to do this ever, just because I thought people would figure it out. And then I realized you might have figured it out, but it might take you like an hour to make a star and you never do it. Now, Sharon might even have a mega trick because she did a bazillion hearts, who knows? All right, so once I have this done, same thing. I just kind of quickly go in. I don't score everything. To me, the tabs are the most important on this one for me. Everything else just kind of falls into place. But all those little tabs, especially ones that are going to the point, those are the only ones that I kind of score. But really, don't worry about it. Oh, I missed one. So see these two? I missed these two. I can tell because your paper doesn't want to go that way. So if your paper doesn't want to go that way, just means you didn't tell it to go there first. There we go. Okay. So here's what we've got. And this heart becomes kind of weird. Now we know that this is the front, and that's where I'm going to start. I'm going to start with the front by gluing these two little tabs to make the front of the heart. Look, it'll turn into a heart really quick. So those two tabs become the heart. Then it's just a door. You'll see it. Use whatever glue works for you. Collage medium, it works for me. I like collage medium. I like using it. I'm still super impatient. You know, I wish it would dry even faster, but hey, for what it is, I'm good with it. I like that I can kind of mop it up. I will tell you on the heart, it's a good idea if you plan to ink this. Inking hides a lot of imperfections. So that's just something that I prefer. I just like to ink. It is important that you work with a glue that is going to be a matte finish, because you might get some glue ooze, and collage medium has a matte finish. Okay, but you have to wait. It's not super glue. You have to maybe blow on it to dry. I'm super impatient. This is one that honestly, if I wasn't doing this live, I'd be gluing so many different panels and have my hands around it, like just crazy, but I'm trying to get you to see. So now I'm going to do the other side of that. Again, a little collage medium. I'm just using it from the bottle. Maybe I want to use it from the brush, and I'm going to fold this one in. Okay. The other thing I've done when I make these is that I'm not too bothered if things don't match up. I can trim off whatever. I could ink things. I could add a little paint. I mean, there's a lot of things that you can kind of, you can totally alter. Okay. There we go. Hold on to this. Very, very good. Okay. So this is a good one. This is one of those that really, once you get into it, this is one that you would want to sit down for a while and just make a bunch of these. Because if you think, I'm going to make a card and let me put one of those hearts on it, you are not going to get out your paper, die cut a heart, fold it, build it, wait for it to dry. I wouldn't. You're going to be like, no, I don't have time. But if you just sat down for an afternoon and made a bunch of hearts, then you have them like in a bowl. You have, well, like these, you know, you just sit and you have hearts that you can just take, because it does make a complete finished embellishment when it's done, which I love. Okay, so there's the front of our heart. Next, we're going to close up the back, that big, long side piece. We're going to close up the side of that. So here, I'm just going to take that, put a little bit of collage medium on that, fold this up, and hold that there. And you can kind of spread that out a little bit. This, you can tap that down, set this down. I got quite a bit of glue ooze on this, but that's all right. I'm going to hold this down. All right. Hear that? Someone cutting down a tree outside?
Like it.
Gosh. Hope it's not in our yard. Sounds like it though, huh? I mean, it literally sounds like they're in our backyard. Yeah. All right. I'm just reading the chat. Da-da-da. That's good. That's good. Yeah, there we go. It's fun. Okay. Yeah, I see. Yeah, Kath is like reverse tweezers. Yeah, I use my pork chop fingers for holding anything. All right. But look, it looks like a heart. It does. So far, it looks like a heart. So to me, these three are the most critical to wait for it to dry, because otherwise it just becomes super annoying. All right. So now when you look at the top, you can see it kind of looks like teeth, right? 2 on the top, 2 on the bottom. And they fold in exactly how they should, okay? The weirdest thing though is that this heart, this triangle is up, this triangle is down. So I'll show you before I add any glue that when I push this, the middle is what goes down. So there's your facet, okay? It doesn't stay puffy all the way across. This is where that pushes down, and there's our faceted heart. So what I do is I just put glue on all 4 of these at one time. Just put that on, put that on, put that on, put that on. Always give that a couple of good thunks. Wipe off the schnozzle with your finger and put the cap on. If you give it a couple of taps, it'll pull the glue out of the nib and keep it from drying up. Okay, so then what I'm going to do is I'll do this. Normally I would do this on the craft sheet. Well, I'm going to do it on the craft sheet. Can you still see? Yeah. I know it's off to the side, but the reason is because you're going to get some glue ooze, but I just place it down and I just use, oh gosh, I have such big fingers. There you go. I use 3 fingers. Can you guys see that? So I'm holding the outside, the middle, and this side. So I'm holding where all those tabs are. And that's it. You sit here. You can, I don't know, talk to it. You can use a hair dryer, whatever. But that's it. It's really, I mean, that's super simple how you create with it. And again, on these hearts, you can alter them before or after. If you didn't want to go in and do your background first because you didn't know what you were going to do, you can make these hearts out of watercolor paper and then go in and paint each panel a different color. You could use your markers. You could cover it with paste. I mean, there's so many things you can do. It's really just like you've made a paper embellishment. That's the whole idea. It's very, very cool. It's super, super easy. But once you make one, it's easy. It's like everything else. It really is. There you go. There's your heart. It's super, super simple when you create with it. You can, like anything else, when you make your paper village for the first time, like where does this go? How does this? You have to do it to get better at it. You can't just expect it to be perfect the first time, okay? And that's it. So you have a heart and you've got a star. And that's from the Rosette pack. Now we're going to make the Rosette because the Rosette, super, super easy. Okay, so we have those elements. And we'll talk Rosette. I do love the Rosette. Okay. When I did the paper Rosette for the packaging, I really wanted to create something fun and kind of carnival-like. And honestly, I don't have any paper that's kind of carnival-like. And I know you can do this with stamps, and you can do this with a brayer, and you can do this with markers. But why? Why do I want to make it harder than it needs to be? So I went to the craft store. Mario and I did. We had a good time.
We did.
We bought way more paper than we should. And you're going to be surprised by some of these. Yes, I did buy a pink check and a polka dot. Don't judge me. Okay. But we went into the scrapbook paper aisle. And honestly, in my opinion, I think scrapbooking paper makes a fluffier Rosette. It doesn't mean you can't use backdrops. You can use old book paper. You can use music paper. You can use a lot of things. But scrapbook paper is often much thinner. You can hear it. My ideology backdrops, it's 100-pound cardstock. So you can still make a Rosette out of it. You can make it out of really any paper. It's just a little more rigid. But definitely go in and look at patterns because you can do stuff like for Valentine's Day. You can do stuff for spring and Easter. You can do Americana. But what was really fun as we were going, and of course Mario loved the tartan. He was all about plaids. He loved that there were different plaids. Halloween, we had a good time. But one thing that was fun to me were things with stripes because patterns play a cool role in making a Rosette. So for this one, I'll bring in these papers. These are the papers I used to cut the Rosettes. Depending on how you cut your Rosette out, whether your stripes are running horizontal or vertical, really changes how your Rosette looks. So for example, on this one, where you can see those circles going around, well then you know that my lines had to run horizontal. So because that's a Rosette section, so you want your lines running horizontal. But if you do it the other way, you can make a Rosette and it's just more stripy, like candy stripe, like it's coming out from the center. So that's where these lines go vertical. But see, I mean, same paper, but two different kind of Rosettes depending on, I mean, that's really the actual size of the Rosette, smaller on the package, but pretty fun, right? So that's something to think about, whether you're using stamps, pattern paper, anything. It's just, there's tons of pattern paper everywhere and you could buy it really inexpensive. And for Rosettes, that to me it was good fun. But hey, if you want to make your own, go for it. So then let me explain the pieces that are in this die set. So for this Rosette, I cut the same piece 3 times. So we have that already cut. But then we've got all these little circly bits. Do you have to cut them out every single time? No. First of all, the seal. The seal was designed to do many things. The biggest seal is if you're going to make a big Rosette for scale. A smaller seal if you're making a smaller Rosette. But both of these are designed that they could be layered, because if you've ever seen cool paper prize ribbons, the center is really fun, okay? This little label can also fit in the center of that or that. So these pieces were really designed that they could be stacked together to make a really big medallion, if you will. But you don't have to use them. You can just do one. You could do one with another center or a small center, or the small center fits either one. Then there's this little dot. Now, could this little dot work in here? Yes. You could use it wherever you want, but really it was designed to be a base, a foundation, a base piece for your Rosette. Doesn't mean you have to use that, but that was really its purpose as far as the size of it. So let's go in and build a rosette. It's really, really simple. Okay. If you plan to create a bigger rosette, you just have to always fold the same way. Meaning, if you start folding against, then you always have to do each strip the same way because they actually end in opposite directions. You'll see when we build it. So what I'm going to do is I'll just take this, fold it, move it up, fold it, and all of my folds are all against. It's just how I do it. And I know it's an accordion fold, and I know it's a zigzag, but like I said, this is how I do it. Don't judge me. I'm going to go to a wider one so I don't have to be so precise. So you can see I'm just lining up that score line, pushing away. Because I don't like to think about it. Thinking is overrated, and I think sometimes we overthink things because we think that they are more complicated than they really need to be, but they don't. Okay, and this is another thing that I like about scrapbook paper is it's thin. So it is very easy to just, this one I'm just going to flip over because it's just easier to fold that. Okay, so you can see I've kind of created that little fold, but believe it or not, these folds, they're very easy to just, I don't use a paper creaser at this point. So now I'm just following the same thing. You'll see in a second what I'm doing. Okay. Like I said, repetition. Repetition, repetition, repetition. All right, one piece down. Moving on. So same thing, I'm going to start with that cutoff piece. I'm going to fold it away. So this way I don't have to flip anything. Just going in. And if you want, I mean, if you don't want to go back the second time, you can do what we did the first time, which is kind of do that little pinch fold each time. Whatever works for you. It just sometimes it starts to curl up a little bit. So that's why I don't like to do it initially. I do one thing because I feel you can be way quicker. It's almost like you can see my finger is like sliding along that block. Do you see it? It goes pretty quick. I hope this is showing up okay. Is it, Mario?
It's perfect.
Okay.
I've learned so much today.
He'll be making rosettes and hearts and pillow boxes, and there you go. So yeah, when you get to the end like this one, see, instead of trying to fight with that, just flip it over because it's much easier if you have more paper on one side. But I'm always folding away. So then same thing, I'm just going to fold, 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 fold. This just goes quick because it's thin paper. Okay. And you just roll through it. There we go. That's the second one. Done. Next one, same. So this is what I was saying, that when you make these, you would just get in like rosette mode and make a bunch of rosettes. And this is something also that you can just do out of maybe the backside of scrapbook paper. If you planned on inking them or doing whatever, you could ink them later. There's nothing wrong with that. You can still do your spray and all of that. I do have a hot glue gun off to the side heating up right now. So this one I definitely like hot glue because it's like a jack-in-the-box. It's a spring. So if you don't have something that's going to dry really quick, you're going to be holding it for a long time because it's got some serious resistance. Okay, so I didn't want to do any of this ahead of time. I know it's pretty boring to watch, but just to show you that it doesn't take a lot of time. Because sometimes, you know, if you ever watch those craft shows, they're like, yeah, and go ahead and finish doing this, and then you have this. And you don't realize that the finish doing this is really 3 hours of your day. Okay, so once you have this done, we're going to just fold them. And I know it's an accordion fold. So here's what I do for the accordion fold. Because I've already done that, I actually have these pieces that I can just take my fingers, push in and grab, push in and grab. Does that make sense? So I'm not flipping it. Because it's already folded, I'm just going wherever that arch is, and I'm pushing in and grabbing it. See that? I hope you can see it from my fingers. I'm trying to look through the phone. But this way I don't have to lay it on the table and flip and flop, and I can't do that. So that is my accordion fold. It's already done. So let's do it again. Okay. So we know that this ends this way. So I always start with it the same way because see the end, it ends the opposite way. So you can glue it together. So I start there, and if I grab it with my fingers, I'm always just pinching with my thumbs and pushing down with my index finger. But you do you. Really, if you like flipping and flopping and doing all that, you go for it. This is just how I do a rosette. Okay, there we go. And different papers are going to be a little bit more forgiving, I'll say. Like, I'm kind of flying through this just because I know it's scrapbook paper. If you were doing this with an ideology backdrop, you'd have to spend a little bit more time. You might even have to get out a paper creaser because it's 100-pound paper. You know, it wants to do what it wants to do, and you have to show it who's boss. There's the next one, and we're going to do this. There we go. Once you get in the groove, you'll kind of just, it becomes very, I don't know. I could just do rosettes all day. They're super easy. Okay, now if you were, oh, see, sure, Zach, I can't flip. I can't. I get so confused that I'll do like 2 peaks and 1 valley and one, like, I just can't. But this way, it's repetition with my fingers and it remembers. Okay, so here's our rosette. Now I will say, would have referenced that if you wanted a smaller rosette, when it was cut flat, that's when you would cut off the end. Okay, you would cut it off however short you want. And if you didn't want a scallop one, you could have a rosette with a straight edge. Doesn't really matter what is the outside edge. This is scallop, but you can make the rosette in reverse and you could have a straight outer edge. That's fine. But you would have cut the width of this, and then you just have to determine how many strips you need. I'm just making the biggest one from the package, so I'm using 3. But really, shorter rosettes, you would just use more paper or less paper, and you would just have to decide, because more paper just means it's going to be fluffier. Less paper, it's just going to be a more stretched out rosette. And you can cut some of the paper midway vertical. You don't have to, it doesn't have to be divisible by a full strip, okay? So on these middle pieces, because they're flat, you could use whatever adhesive you want. We know that we could use collage medium, we could use score tape, we could use whatever. So on that angled tab, that's where my adhesive is going. I'm just going to take a piece of that tape, place it down, rip, angle tab, put some of that down, and rip, and tab. But see, working on the craft sheet part, I don't have to worry about getting the glass all gunky of my mat, just in case I go over. There we go. Place it down, place it down, place it down. Okay, now we're just going to connect these. So I'm just going to peel this off, and again, fold that over. So because this goes down, this goes up, this is where you meet them in the middle. So I just like to, you can lay it flat, and you're just going to place it right on, like just to the right of that fold. Go to the next one. I know for those that would trim, probably is always like, trim that tape, please. Just fold it over. It's fine. So same thing, just going to place that down. And this also gives you just a little flexibility. If you have stripe paper, it also is another, a little helpful tool, because you can line up your stripes a little bit, okay? And then we have our last one. And our last one, we're completing the circle, if you will, okay? So our last one, we're just bringing these together. And so bringing these together, it is a little weird because, you know, but you have a little flexibility, or you can just place it right on top of the rosette. It doesn't really matter. Again, just follow the guides. I normally start here on the top where the arch is, just because I think it's a little bit more important to line up, but there you go. So now you have this big ring, this ziggity zaggity ring, where when it ended, it started, so it creates that perfect zigzag. So what I like to do is I'll just go in and kind of zhuzh it, put it together. Just make sure all my zigs are zagging. Okay. Now, before you get out the glue, just learn how to handle the rosette, okay? If you, whatever you want on the outside of the rosette, put on the bottom, put towards the bottom of your craft sheet. So I know that I want these scallops, so I'm gonna put that down. If you wanted the straight edge, put that down. And all you're gonna do is you're gonna gather it from the top, okay? Kind of bring it all together, and you push it down. And when you push it down, it just makes the rosette. You may have to pop one in. There you go. There's your rosette. See that? That's it. It does it. It makes the rosette. Now, this is what I was saying on the rosette. You could cheat. You can actually make a bigger rosette by stretching it out before you glue it, or you can tighten it up. I prefer to kind of have it more tight in the center because I think you get a better pleat in there. When Debbie was making her little nest, this is where she kind of had one as a tray, and then for the other one, she kind of stopped it there. Maybe she added some hot glue first and then flipped it. I'm not sure of the dynamics of how she did it, but really, like, that's how that's how that works. So here's how I build the rosette. And again, you need to do what's going to work best for you. I'm going to start with a touch of hot glue, and I'll work just on the side of this mat just so it stays in camera. And I just put a little dot just to stick that piece of paper down. That's my landing spot. Okay, that's where I want my rosette to be. Do you have to use this? No. Could you just use a blob of glue? Yes. In fact, I used to use a blob of glue, but then I learned that I couldn't really make it work. Sometimes I'd miss the mark. So that's why I just wanted to put in a circle. Hey, when you visit it the third time around doing a rosette, you're like, hey, that little dot's important. Okay, so this one, that little embossed thing, this is where I'm putting like a blob of glue. Do you guys see that? I don't know. Can't really zoom in, but it's a nugget of glue. This goes around. This, gather around, see where that nugget is? Then you're going to like push into that nugget. And now you get like a glue boogie on the top. I like to just go with my finger and just, it's not that hot. I know you think it's hot, but it really isn't that hot. And then I roll that off. So I just kind of push that little dot in. And what that's doing is that's holding all of those little pleats together. So it's more than just the center. It's about getting the glue to kind of go into the zig and zag and stay together. That was just a little bit of glue that was on my finger. And this is a high temp glue gun. So really, by the time it oozes through, it shouldn't be that hot. Okay. And then you're just going to press that down. Just hold it just so it's cool. That's it. Then pick your center. If you're not ready for your center, you don't have to add the center now. But if you are ready for the center, you can add it. So maybe on this one, let's add a smaller one. It doesn't always have to be the big one. You can just take a little bit of hot glue, little scribbly bit. This doesn't have to be hot glue for this one. This could be foam tape. This could be collage medium. This could be whatever you want. And then you're just going to put that in the center. Now that our rosette is done, if you just give it a little twist, it comes right off of your mat and your circle is holding it all together on the back. That's it.
Wow, that was so cool.
So now you have that. So now when you go to place them down on cards or whatever, you have that, again, that spot to put foam tape or whatever you want. So that's it. That's how easy it is really to make a rosette. And I'm telling you, I'm saying easy because I've done a bazillion of them through the many years. But once you do it, you'll be able to just do it and talk about it and talk through it. The heart, the star, the same way. And again, they're different sizes than the originals. Same with the rosette. And then of course the pillow box. So the pillow box and the bag also really easy. So yeah, and when you're die cutting your paper, you have to line it up. Meaning if your scallop starts on the red, then each time your scallop needs to start on the red. If you start on the red and then the next time you move it, you start on the white, well then your lines won't match up, will they? So just use the line in the paper as to your advantage. If you're doing polka dots, who cares? It could be kind of everywhere, right? But if you're doing something linear, the lines are already there in the paper to line up the die. It's nothing. It's really, really quite simple. So, and same thing with this one. You just bring that, you follow whatever parallel line. The stuff's there. It could be harder if you want to make it harder, but really it's super, super simple. So there we go. That was good fun.